Thanks, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight on Monday, January 13th, 2025. It is 7 o'clock, so I will call to order this council workshop meeting. We will begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if we could please stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you please have a roll call?
Ms. Demi?
Here.
Ms. Houts?
Here.
Mr. Panza?
Here.
Mr. Ray?
Here.
Ms. Schwartz?
Here.
Mr. Tintori? Ms. Barron?
Here.
Mayor Schenk?
Okay, thank you. So tonight we are going to be discussing the amenity pool options for the new pool. To do this, we are going to start by listening to a presentation by our aquatic architects who are on site here tonight. They are going to present this information with no interruption. So during this presentation, council is going to come and sit on the tables below so that we can see the same presentation you're seeing. And then after the presentation is over, council is going to remain seated and we will open the floor up for questions and comments from our community members. Each person who wishes to speak tonight about tonight's agenda will need to approach the podium that's up front here, state their name and address before speaking. Each person who wishes to speak will have 3 minutes to do so. And we would like to ask everyone to keep their comments and questions to this period so that our community members who are watching at home can also hear. If you have questions and comments during the presentation, we ask that you write them down so that you don't forget them, and then you can bring them up after. There are pencils and papers along with printed copies of the slides at the table here at the entrance. So if you don't have them yet, we'll be happy to get them for you. You can get them for, and I'll not speak, a long day of speaking. You can head over to those tables and get them. After the citizens portion of the evening, we will raise the screen and council will return to these seats. Each of us will take turns asking questions to the architectural team. We're going to do this in alphabetical order by last name, with the committee chair, Ms. Schwartz, and myself going last. So it'll be myself and then Ms. Schwartz. So that order will be Ms. Demi, Ms. Houts, Mr. Panza, Mr. Ray, Mr. Tintori is not here, so then we'll go to myself and then end with Ms. Schwartz. When that's done, and once all of council has had that opportunity to ask questions, I will then turn the meeting over to Ms. Schwartz to guide council's discussion. If at any point in time comments go outside of tonight's topic of pool amenities, we will ask you to return to the topic, and this also goes for our council members. And I appreciate you so much for understanding. This is all going to help to ensure that we have a smooth meeting for everyone and that we stay on track with tonight's agenda. So before I hand it over to our architects, I do want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I appreciate you all, and I appreciate the kindness you show one another. I appreciate all of us working together. I look forward to learning more, as I'm sure all of you are too. So without further ado, we will start to get you prepared for our presentation and hand it over to Brent Boyer.
I just have a point of order question. When did we decide that we're limiting comment to 3 minutes?
That is in our charter, 3 minutes. It is. All right, thank you. So I will be the timekeeper. Yeah. Ron needs additional homes.
one works because we picked up from my research. Thank you for coming. I'm Brent Porter with Product Design. This is kind of the last section of the series of your design. And what we're going to do is go through these features of the code in your two pools, your new main pool, your rating. So I'll make it brief and then as the state come back to the next question. Can you go to the next? Just an overall site plan. Okay, we'll go right into it. Okay, on this pool, the basics of this pool is so that you can process a little bit about what the features are. Here on your new pool, you have a step-in entry, not a beach entry, it's steps. And I'll try to stand where you can all see, so if I'm not really losing. So you have steps down here, which you can then sit on or lounge on those stairs. And then you have an ADA ramp corridor down that side. We're at, I believe, 2'8" here, Thomas? Yes. It goes then in depth to, we are at this point, 3 foot. 3 feet, and then we go down to 4'6", and then 4'6" on these corners, and then down into the deep well, which I believe is 10'6". Correct. So as we go around the pool, you have the staired entry, and then proposed for these features are you have a mushroom spray over in this area. It's a little hard to see the circle there. You have here is a chaise lounge area. There are chaise lounges that lay in the water. They're somewhat upright so you can look out, and there's a shade structure over them. This is indented out underneath this structure. You then have a double twist open flume slide. Yeah, and I'll get back to that. What he just mentioned is it's an alternate bid. And as I go around and I talk about the features, I'll come back and say what we had put in as base bids and what we have put in as alternate bids, and I'll explain what that means and why. And ours can you mark that to everybody?
Yep. It's not, for some reason, it's not letting me do that. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Dan.
I don't know how. I don't know how far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you see the screen? I see he goes around.
Okay,
There you
Yeah.
go. You're gonna go right.
There
Okay.
There you go.
See that.
That's better.
Okay.
You see the structure going.
So the open flume slide, then as you go down, you have two floatables, a shark and a manta. I don't know, Kim, if you're able to then go into the pool where the arrows. Okay, those go in there, and what they are, they're floatable features. They're a soft skin, like a tough vinyl, thick skin, but it's soft. And they float on the surface of the water. And the kids ride them and they try to stay on them. They're a lot of fun. Kids love them. They're called floatable features. Okay, that's a question related to the.
No, I mean, that's the presentation, so you can write your neutral.
Okay, you want to. This pool was laid out for competition. You have 6 25-meter lanes. So you would have competition blocks if you would go in again. Along the deep well, you would have the 6 starting blocks. Okay. Over here, you have a 1 meter dive stand, which is pointed out this direction, which was decided on during the design process. You have an aqua zip line, which is a feature that it's like kind of like when you swing out on a rope in your pool. It replicates that. It's an aqua zip line up along the side. You have a in-water basketball. It's for playing basketball in the water that mounts on the deck. And that's removable. It's a removable stand. And then you have these 2 tall water sprays. You're right over in here. You're doing a good job with this around. You have the ADA ramp, which you see that's a corridor. Since you only have stairs, you have to have a means of ADA entry. That ramp goes the whole way down. And then you have this tall dumping bucket, water tall spray. Now, can you back up on the whole? whole thing? Now, the way this is currently laid out, of course, this can be changed, what I'm talking about is, what we currently have is these tall sprays, the taller dumping bucket spray, and the mushroom, along with your dive in your base bid. So that if they bid the pool, that would automatically come with it at this point. Okay,
Can you explain that? I'm sorry.
a base bid means that right now, they're gonna, when you put this out to bid, they're gonna give you a bid on the pool. Okay. Those few features that I just mentioned, these tall sprays, the dumping bucket, the mushroom, and the dive, along with this lounge area, are things that would automatically just come with that truck.
Unless we decide tonight we do not want them.
Correct. And the reason that was laid out that way at this point is because for this style of pool, that was what we would normally consider kind of like a basement. So that you have a amenities to play in. So that, as Judy just pointed out, can be changed. But that's what's laid out base. All the other features at this point are in its alternate bids, meaning they would give you a separate price and you could choose them or not choose.
No,
And again-
low. So could you, what's in the base bid again?
Yeah, and it's listed as such on that sheet, okay? But for Mr. Ray there, it's these two tall ones, this tall dumping bucket spray. The mushroom and this. And your dive.
Okay. Do you want me to zoom in on it the same way I did? Yeah. Do you want me to zoom in or do you wanna? Okay. Okay, just let me, just let me know. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, and we'll come back there. Okay, so we're gonna go around the wading pool now. Yes. Your wading pool at this point, because you'd be building a wading pool as well. Your whole wading pool is alternate, meaning the contractors would give you a separate price for the wading. In case you didn't want to build a wading pool at all.
But council has committed to doing. Yeah, we are building the asphalt.
It allows you to have different prices, so you see what the breakdown of the cost are. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind as you're looking at these sheets, these are our estimates as the engineer, what we think it should price for. Your contractors are gonna price that, okay? We take our best shot at that, but whoever X, Y, Z builder submits a price, they're gonna make up their own price. So these are our best guesses. You can't take these, they're educated guesses. But, you know, this kind of construction is not like something that the grocery store is a specialized group that often comes from elsewhere. You're gonna have maybe contractors from Pittsburgh, one from Philadelphia, one from Ohio bid on this. They're gonna all have their different ideas about how much your project is worth and what they want to charge you, but that's why you take bids. So we take our best shot at that, but it's unknown, okay? That's another reason that we put it in as an alternate, because it's an unknown, so you can, even though you're committed to it, you can reevaluate should you choose to. Here, you have a large umbrella over another group of chaises in the water. And this is for parents, grandparents, and so on, to be able to sit in the water and look out and view, what's going on. These are much more upright than in the main pool. You have your deck loungers here, which you have around the main pool as well. You have step-in entry onto that, step-in entry from the deck and step-in entry from that platform into the water. Then you also, on this side, you have a deck spray, which is water that sprays out the little tile that like sit and play in it. These are all designed specifically for children, small children in this pool, because your water depth is only 1 foot 6 inches. Then you have a soft skin, small spray on the beach entry. This pool is beach entry, sloped entry. Unlike your current wading pool, which is step-in. You cannot have by law a step-in wading pool anymore. It must be a beach entry pool. Here you have a fish slide. The little ones slide down through the mouth of the fish into the water. You have a smaller mushroom feature here, and that's the extent of those features. Let's go back to that. I think you pretty much explained that. Did you talk about this? The features? Yeah, on the deck, just
So I think,
your.
I think, you know, obviously, so we can all see it again. Anybody doesn't have a copy of the presentation, still a couple up here. I'm happy to make more if we run out. I think the most important thing for everybody to understand about tonight's meeting is that while Brent has indicated and Thomas have indicated things are base bid, base or alternate, the purpose of this meeting tonight is to determine what we want pricing on, what we want to say, like, yeah, we're all in agreement. We think having a mushroom would be great. We think having basketball hoop would be amazing. We don't like the zip line. We don't want the facilities, and we don't want the diving board, which obviously not diving board, but everything. But that's the point of this meeting, is to try to come down to what we want to tell him. When you put this out to bid, this is what we want to include. Not to say, we could still say, well, we would like all of it, but we know the price might get crazy, so we're going to say we'll take items 1 through 3, give us alternate pricing on items, you know, 4 through 6. Okay, so again, the idea tonight is to try to take some input, help council make that decision as to, you know, what we think makes sense for our pool. You know, again, you know, I've heard a little bit of, you know, like, oh, it's too much stuff, whatnot. That might be the consensus. We may say, we like the pool just the way it is. We want to slide, we want to dive, we don't want anything else. Okay, that's what we want to hear. That's why you guys are here, to give council that feedback so that we can get out to bid. And one of the reasons, just, you know, that we're trying to get to this decision quickly is, you may remember we had talked about, there was some feedback like, it's a shame to lose the season. Nobody wants to lose the pool for a summer. So council heard that and said, okay, well, let's, as part of the bid process, let's ask contractors to give us a short construction season. What's the price be for if we give you 12 to 13 months? What's the price if we give you 8 to 10 months? And that's going to happen. We're going to ask for bids for both, so that if we can stay open for 725, you know, if we can open up, we can. We need to make this decision quickly, because they still need another 6 to 8 weeks to finish up the specifications. And I really need the bids. I need to know we have a long or short construction season by April, so that then I can hire pool staff. I'm sure if any of you, you know, the kids work for the pool, you work for the pool, you know, we start that hiring process in March and April. We're pushing it pretty far out this year. You know, if I know by early April, I can get it, you know, we can get it done. We have a great management team that's waiting in the wings. Hopefully, you know, we can get this done. So in case, you know, that's why we're doing this. That's why we want to come to this consensus tonight and, you know, be able to get this project out to bid, get the bids back. Hopefully they will come in competitive, within our budget and we can move forward. And if we're really fortunate, we'll get a short construction bid and, we can have the best of both worlds. We can have this summer and next summer. So, I mean, but the goal always is, whether it's a long or short construction season, you know, we'll want that contractor to be done by early May, so we can get the build, get everything up and running, learn new mechanics and go. So I might have interrupted you, but hopefully that was helpful. And certainly, as part of the citizens' comments, it's really not just comments. This is, you know, questions. You know, we'll answer questions. And we don't want anybody to leave here not feeling like, well, I asked the question and then, you know, we want to answer the question. So again, that's why we're here. That's why we're really trying to push to get this decision so we can finish the specs, get them out to bid. And, if we're lucky, have a summer of 25 and 26. So I don't know if there's anything else you'd want to present before, Shannon, you would want to then go to, hearing the citizens.
No, the only thing I would say in addition is the idea behind all this as the project went forward was that in every area of the pool, you would have something to do for different ages. That was the basis behind. But that's for you as a community to decide in the end if you.
Can we clear something up? The base bid items.
Mr. Coughlin, when you ask at the microphone, and the only reason why I asked, this is why it's real important to come to the microphone. Otherwise, the citizens at home can't hear you. Those that are tuned into Zoom, if they hear it from a shout out, then they might not hear it.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that we've now moved on to the citizens.
That's what I was-
portion.
yeah.
This
I
is-
just want to ask a question to clear up this base bid.
Before you do that, I have a,
Let's go. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
That's what I'm trying to do.
well, just because it's a 3-minute thing, I don't see it in the charter. It says citizens' right to be heard. The council shall provide reasonable opportunity for interested citizens and taxpayers to address council on matters. Of general and special concern, this opportunity may be afforded the public either at the regular monthly council meeting or at another regular monthly meetings specifically set for this purpose. I just want to make sure that if it is in the charter, I don't see it, and I want to make sure that we're not creating a policy to limit, council or president.
Shannon, for clarification, I believe June 1991, Marlene Wondrisco, president of the council, they enacted an ordinance that
Yeah,
laid out all
Could you
this.
pull it up?
I don't have that on me. I didn't. No, I'm just saying, that's where I think, I don't think it was in the charter. I think it was from ordinance
it might
that,
be from the warrants. That's
Yeah.
just what I have read and what has been.
yeah, so just for clarification.
I don't see it anywhere.
I know, I don't think the intention is going to cut anybody short. I think it's just,
Yeah.
you know, when you have a lot of people, yeah, you.
Joe said
I
we're
just
setting
think-
timeline.
I just think everybody here has a lot of confusion, if I'm not wrong about this base bid issues with these things. So am I to understand base bid items are included in the 475,000 estimate to build this pool? I'm sorry, we're building 750.
Actually, every single amenity on there is included in it.
Okay, you cleared it up.
So
Okay,
we have nowhere to go but down. So
okay.
from everything we remove, the estimate, and it is an estimate, comes down. So, yeah, so that's that. And again, just because it's listed as a base bid item does not mean it is going in that pool.
Right.
That's why we're here. So. Are we good, Shannon?
I'm good.
Okay, so now we'll go to citizens' comments, and this isn't just comments, it's questions. So I would just say, come up, state your name, your address, and ask your question. And then we'll kind of, I think, just answer them as they come up. I think it's probably easiest.
Jesse Robinson, Evans, 24 Leon Road. My big picture idea for this is, again, depending on the citizen input. From contractor's perspective, it's easier to have the cheapest, plainest pool and have all of these things as ad alternates. Having everything in and asking the contractors for deduct alternates is, I don't think, the right thing to do. That's me personally and for my professional life.
Can you explain that more? What do you mean?
So in the event that the bids come in and they're all over the allocated amount of money, we want to know what the absolute bare bones cheapest pool is. The closer the contractors are aiming for that number. The closer they can get to that, the better. Whenever you have more stuff included and you're asking them to deduct, you know what I mean? They're approaching it from a different standpoint.
At this point, all those alternates are add-ons. You would
Okay.
give an add-on separate price.
So the budget estimate is for everything soup to nuts, but the way the bid will be conducted is base, plain pool, ADA compliant, the slides an ad, everything else is an ad. Okay.
That's true.
That can be true. That's what this meeting will decide.
That-
I would
that's my
just recommend for
That's my
now,
recommendation. I've worked in general contracting.
I would just
That's my
recommend for,
advice.
for now, you decide what features you like and don't like, and then we go through that process and how to put it in the document.
Okay.
Because there's validity in what you're saying.
My personal opinion on the features, I would vote against lounge chairs in the baby pool. I also think like the mushrooms and the sprayers and stuff in the shallow part of the main pool, I think that might get a little crowded. I think having it be more open. But, again, if we're base bid, plain pool with just the diving board, then everything else is something we add on. I think that'd be the best way to conduct it, because if all we can afford is a basic pool, okay, well, then that's what we get. All of this other stuff is, jewelry. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll give you one other, not to confuse you, but to expand on what you said. The reason, one of the other reasons that we had some of those features as base bid is those base bid ones require water. Okay. That cluster in, you go to the next slide. That cluster there, okay, requires water pumped to it and a system to run it. So to engineer all that out, you want to have that kind of a group that you want it or you don't, okay? And that's, but that's why it's lumped together like that as part, because that's like a package kind of that goes together. But you can have it or you cannot have it, you can scale that down, you can take one of them out. So kind of forget about base bid, alternate bid, and think about what features you like or you don't like.
Christopher Allen Croft, 996 Park Edge, 1000 Green Tree Road, and 252. Everyone. One quick question to start. Thank you, Judy, for explaining everything, because at the beginning, there was a lot of confusion as to what was going to happen this evening. Number one, do we know how we're going to conduct the yes or no of what the community wants for these amendments? Because obviously we can't walk around the room and say yes or no to Brenda and Judy and Charlie. So we need a way to figure out what the community actually wants, as opposed to having a meeting and having people come up and say, well, I think the umbrellas aren't a great idea, or, the babies are gonna get stuck in between the lounge chairs and so on and so forth. And my second question is, have we put any thought into the extra guards that are obviously gonna be needed for these amendments? There's no way that you can have, and being a lifeguard myself for 7 years at Green Tree Pool, there's no way we'd be able to maintain a floating manatee in the middle of the pool and make sure that a child is not stuck underneath it. There's no way we'd be able to maintain a lounge chair to make sure a child is not stuck in between. So there's obvious questions as to what is the thought process, and I get it, we want to talk about all the bells and whistles and what we could possibly have to create our mini sandcastle here in Green Tree, but the bottom line is there's a lot more to this process than figuring out if, someone on Shelton thinks that manatee ray floatable is a good idea. So what are with those two things, what are our plans?
The guards were factored into the initial discussion. That's
Fantastic.
all figured out before we.
When were you gonna tell the community that?
We did discuss it in the meeting when I was when I presented, we did go over how many guards.
I just remember seeing a lot of pictures of children. I don't remember seeing anything. Oh, you did, okay. I mean, did you remind anybody?
So
Okay.
I think I know it, what I know is that the lifeguard required staffing
Okay,
is based on your square footage of your pool,
not the amenities.
not, I'm told that
Okay.
amenities are not part of it.
Okay.
For instance, the wave pool, right, you have all those people on all those floats.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
It's scary, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
But they also have a lot more lifeguards than we do.
they
Okay,
do.
I mean, by on.
And because they've got the
Absolutely.
waves, because they've got the floats, but as this is just static water. It's my understanding is it's based on the square, the numbers, the square footage of the.
My concern was being a lifeguard at Green Tree Pool. I mean, we had a hard enough time, when we got the slide, everyone was nervous, right? Because we never had that before. I mean, we had diving boards and that was it. You weren't even allowed to have a ball in the pool. Whatever. And we're talking about a basketball hoop, for goodness sake. So it's, as someone that was a lifeguard, as well as a resident that uses the pool, that's my fear.
And, that's not something that we would ever short.
Absolutely. It was a question because it's not been brought up, and that's why. And if I missed it, Jen, I apologize, but I don't remember any talk of what we were gonna have lifeguard per, because again, we added a lifeguard because there was a slide. So in this area, like particularly in the area with the floatables, that's my biggest concern right now. That area would probably need another guard there. Like there would have to be someone that's watching that, because you can't expect the 5-foot guard to watch 5 foot as well as the diving board. And then, yeah,
And it goes by zone, so
Correct.
those things aren't tethered, if they're moving.
are they tethered?
The guard chairs are not.
No,
No, the floatable.
It's floatable, yeah.
They are.
They are
tethered.
tethered? That's even worse.
So,
Not a rope on the bottom of the lifeguard, it's fantastic.
so how the pool is zoned off.
Absolutely.
So the guard in that.
So the guard, so it would either be the guard that's in the 5-foot area, who's watching the lanes as well as 5 foot. Because it obviously couldn't be the guard that's on the slide because they have to watch the slide.
Yeah.
Does the plan show lifeguards shared? It looks like we have.
I was trying to, I think that right now there's,
6.
yeah, and there's 2 in that area, so we would assume
On this,
that this lifeguard would be watching the entire 5-foot area. As well as the floaties, and when I was there, and I don't know if this has changed.
4.5.
Oh, okay.
Not 5, 4.6.
4.6.
4.6.
Well, yeah, so regardless, my question would be, like, we have to figure out, and this is important because tonight, according to the agenda. We're figuring this out tonight, correct? Was that what I'm reading?
So that we can complete the specifications, get off.
So that would be something that would be important to have, like, maybe a head guard here, or like someone that. Knows that information, but that's not here nor there. So we'll move on to my second question, because there's a lot of people here that want to be heard. Or the first question, excuse me, how are we going to make this decision? Is it possible for us to send out a survey before this decision is made, or are we just figuring it out tonight and hoping and praying that the people are here are the ones to make the right decision?
Taking your input.
Yeah.
Council's gonna then go back up here.
Okay.
Talk through it and we'll come to a consensus.
And all of the people at home, we're not getting any opinions from them, correct?
I have received some emails.
I mean, on Zoom, how many people are on Zoom right now? Can you see that?
I am,
Sorry, if you can, I would say there's probably about, generally, I think there's like 40 to 50 people on there. So I guess the people at home are just kind of. There's 5 on there right now? I guess they're all here. Perfect.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I guess that's okay.
Also, I have a question.
Yeah,
What amenities do you like and what ones don't? Yeah.
I don't want any of them right now. I mean, I like the ones that are, I love the slide should stay, the diving board should stay. I think that having all of that stuff in the shallow end is gonna be a nightmare. Like, the baby pool, I think we just need the mushroom. The mushroom and what is that called? It's like a little, yeah, the shade cover. Because the pavilion is a nightmare. The pavilion that's up there, I think, was there when I had my 6th birthday party over at Wilson Park. So that, I mean, it always falls down, it's rickety. But the thing is, we don't need all the confusion. That's the thing. We're not, this is, and, you know, to have the pumps and, I mean, we could barely, again, when I was there, this was 10 years ago, get someone to come in and fix the pool pump, let alone when the mushroom's down, or the jet skis aren't working, or the zip line, someone got their hair cut. I mean, being someone that worked there and also went there, I can tell you, the more amenities you have, the bigger nightmare you're gonna run into. And that's why a lot of pools don't have it. I mean, you'll notice there's not a lot of pools. I'm a member of the Southwest Country Club, and all we have is a mushroom, and I pay a lot of money to be there, so they don't do it because of the golf, that's the thing.
What about shade cover?
I think shade covers and umbrellas are a great idea, but I think, again, we have to make sure that we have people to maintain them, that's the thing. Because again, that was left up to the lifeguards if we didn't have enough people that were in concession. So it's a hit or miss, and you just have to make sure that the roles and responsibilities are put in place when you add these things, because you're also gonna have some kids that are there that just aren't gonna want to attend to. And I mean, the thing is, you can't turn them down. I mean, it's not like people are begging to work at Green Tree Borough. So that's it. And I think that that's really, my biggest thing was just how we're gonna figure this out. And I know we can figure it out together, because that's what we have to do, because that's what we wanna have this pool. And I hope and pray every day that we can make sure that this pool opens this year, and that we can find a timeline so that it works for all of us. Because that pool, I mean, I've lived here literally my entire life. I was born on West Lawn. And that pool being closed for any amount of time is just not gonna jive well for it.
Well, we'll get to this tonight.
I love it.
Yeah.
No Green Tree. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Karen Margarello, 179 Arla Drive. This is just a suggestion moving forward, because obviously you're making decisions tonight. I'm representing most of the youth right now because everybody is at youth nights for Keystone Oaks Green Tree. So I ran from there coaching 60 girls to fly here on behalf of them. If there is a better way to make decisions or have community input before saying you must show up at this meeting, that would be fabulous. You would get a great understanding of what this community wants from a perspective of kids with families, younger families, that this is going to greatly impact. It's going to greatly impact everybody here. So, but not making a decision saying you must come and putting out surveys, something else to get the input of the younger families would be fabulous. So I don't get before you have to simulate here. So just input for future meetings. There is a ton of people there that would love to be here, but can't because their kids are in sports.
Can I take it?
When I took over as president, it was my duty to reassign, and we created a whole new committee that Ms. Deborah Denny was going to oversee.
Fabulous.
So we do anticipate improvement.
That would be, I think everyone's gonna be super excited, so we really appreciate that to have something other than coming here.
So what do you want? Yeah.
So,
Email Ms. Denny.
oh, perfect.
You can always,
Yes.
that's why anyone can email council at any.
Yes, but I
So
think,
I did have a parent email me what they wanted to look
Perfect.
at here tonight because they couldn't make it. And that's available to anyone.
which is great, but like a survey for, so you're getting that might be more valuable than either reading for 400
So,
emails.
two quick things, if anyone is on Zoom and wants to send an email to me, my computer's up there. When we get back up to the dais, I will ask the question during my question and answer portion, for anyone at home. But yeah, just to piggyback off what Shannon said, within 24 hours, she had called me and said, I'm reassigning the committees, I'm making a new one, you're going to be the chair with Mr. Ray, Ms. Schwartz. It's been 6 days, so I know that this is a hot button issue, and this is, the pool is what we're here about, and the amenities, and to get our timeline so that we have a chance at being open this year. But just, I urge patience for communications. We're gonna figure out the surveys, we're gonna get all that data and get all that information back from you guys, but that is gonna take a little bit of time, but you will be hearing a lot from me. That will be very soon.
Fabulous. So thank you. I appreciate you moving that quickly, and I think most of the community will be appreciative of that.
Great.
So, yeah. Listen, as far as what I want, the kids, I have kids of all ages, so I'm literally piggybacking on Chris. It's almost the exact same thing. The diving board, the slide, the basketball hoop, maybe not, the kids want to swim and play, and not the middle stuff with the ropes. It's a nightmare. I can't find my kids as it is, let alone them having their dangling things. So
I wanna hear.
basic. So there we go.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Mike Kacharka from 213 Sheldon Avenue. Couple questions before I start. The competition starting blocks, are those removable?
Yeah.
And the cantilever sunshades, what are they made of?
Steel. It's a steel main structure and it's a 3-season fabric that is removable easily for storage over winter. It's
Okay.
like a turnbuckle system that tensions it, loosen the turnbuckles
So it's
up.
canvas?
I wouldn't say it's canvas. I don't know the exact chemical composition of it, but it's more or less synthetic and it will stand up in spring, summer and fall.
Okay, okay. Yeah, you know, I've lived in Green Tree now since 1988, and we have many parks. I know on Sheldon, you know, there's 2 parks right here. Every neighborhood in Green Tree has a park. There's basketball, there's everything imaginable for kids to play. So I don't think we need it in the pool. I think a basic pool suffices. If they want to put sunshades in, great. All the stuff for the swim team is fantastic. It's needed. The diving board, the slide, perfect. And the baby pool, maybe a few of the amenities for the baby pool would be good. And other than that, that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Good evening, Sarah Thurston, 1022 Abercrombie. I have a question about what's labeled kind of the intermediate pool. So sort of between those 3 water features on the left and where the deeper and the swim lanes start. How big is that? What's the square footage of that?
Off the top of my head, I can't give you that. It's about 45 feet wide and about 30 foot, transitioning from 3 feet to the 4.5 feet.
Okay, so kids around age, probably 8 or 10 to what, 14 or 15? That's basically it. That's the only play space that they have to run around, throw balls, you know, that kind of stuff. So for my personal,
It goes from 6 all the way to all the way through the diving lanes.
oh, all the way.
All the way, yeah.
Uh-huh.
2
Yeah.
lanes on the right are to be used.
That's great to know. Thank you.
Yeah, because now it's 5 foot, so they're a little bit limited if they
Right.
were not real competent swimmers.
Right,
So, that will really expand
okay.
the play, like.
Always.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I'm sure all of you are pool frequenters, you may notice on, some of the busier days, you get a lot of people kind of congregating, at least when I look at it. A lot of people kind of tend to congregate towards that more shallow water,
Yes.
up against the wall, everybody's kind of down there. Not quite as many people in the 5 foot where the lanes are.
Right,
So now you have the whole length of it to spread out. And then for the kids to maybe get out of the adults can say, let's go down there, that kind of thing. So it expands it a little bit.
Excuse me, can I add something? In that 5 foot area,
No 5 foot.
in the old.
Oh, you're right.
You were talking about nobody caught that because people swam there. People use that.
2 lanes. Yeah,
No, there's 2 lanes that are laps.
right.
In the other area that was 5 foot, people swam there. They just didn't stand there all day.
Yeah.
People
little bit, I did
swam there.
notice that
It's
as well.
People who didn't want to swim laps, but wanted to swim.
Splash around, yeah, tread water, whatever.
Thursday, as before, I want to make sure.
Okay,
you
yeah.
ask a question.
I know that. So that sounds better than just thinking that we were keeping those, that other area.
Expands.
Great. As far as what amenities, I would also still say keep that area open for kids. And not even the chaise lounges in this area. Keep the shade. As somebody who is dealing with skin cancer, I would love to be able to sit next to the water, but not be in direct sun. And then for the wading pool, pretty much guarantee no parent is gonna be sitting while their child of that age is in the water. So those chaise lounges don't make sense there.
Thank you.
Meredith Paddock, 14 Clearview Drive. And I've emailed some of you about the pool in the last year or so. And I'm also a proud member of the 5 foot area. So I'm sad to see that, though, I recognize some of my crew members back there. Just some comments I had, to reiterate some of what's said, but I think it's important to hear it again, because it's not just one voice. Don't try to do too much in this pool, as I said, don't, as people have said, don't add too much to this. Less is more, and more is more use. Human nature is to have a buffer between yourself and something else, whether it's the wall or another item in the pool. And also, I love kids, like to have some of my own. This is a community pool. All of these, most of these are kid-focused items. I want to make sure the adults and senior citizens are also represented in the space in this pool. That's where, I'm not bringing up an old topic of that 5 foot, but part of that section is the space for that. Some of us cannot crouch in that 4 feet, the joints. It's important not just to not have things to run into or get hung up on. Adults get stuck in those ropes too. And you certainly don't want it as it's moving to come and hit you as you walk by. But I want to make sure it is for all ages and all abilities to have space in that pool to be represented. My other concerns are about decreasing the already limited available swimming space by adding all of these features or even some of them. I agree with what has been said. The slide, the diving boards are a must, they're tradition. And as has also been said, kids bring their own items to play with, and let's have space for that. I've been going to the pool almost every day this past summer, and I see a lot of great kids with a lot of respect for people space and item space, and I'd hate to limit their opportunity to have that great behavior come that they're worried about running into people and objects and things. Regarding those objects, structures need maintenance. So unless we're looking to rebuild this pool in 10 years from now, rather than the impressive pool we've had for 60 years, you know, sun beats down on everything. I'm about paint flaking off, things rusting, weather happens. In addition to that, if you have to take something out, does that affect the integrity of the pool as well? You know, especially if it's something anchored into the bottom of the pool, it's another place for a leak. Also, don't pick things that are trendy now, that will be out of touch within a couple of years. And finally, as I think has been addressed, are more features going to become more lifeguards? It's one thing to say we need the regulations. It's another that you have parents that might say, there's been a problem where we haven't near this. I would like more, and I'd hate the pool to be closed for a day because we were one lifeguard short to cover up floating. And also what's been mentioned, I do want to make sure the people that are actually going to be in charge of or responsible for any of these amenities and changes, such as the pool crew and Green Tree Borough maintenance, please be consulted to say, how does this impact your workday? How does this impact your ability to perform your responsibilities? I think is very important to be consulted with, including the pool manager. And as we said, make sure the rules are there of who's to monitor not just the use, but also the maintenance of them so that proper attention can be taken to it. And I know there's been discussion of a timeline, so I do have to say that prior poor planning doesn't make this a community emergency. So don't rush us into things if there's something that still needs to be better. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lynn Nestler, 1006 Dale Drive. I've been a Green Tree resident all of about 7 years of my married life. I grew up here. I spent my childhood at Green Tree Pool, and I raised my own children at Green Tree Pool. And my husband and I are part of the 5 Foot Club. So that is an area of the pool that a lot of us do enjoy. In addition to the swim lanes and all the other, you know, the pool as it has been for 60 years. It has been perfect. It's not broken. So I also have adult children who are married and or getting married in the very near future. So I will have grandchildren hopefully someday that I want to be able to enjoy this pool as well. But I also agree with all of the comments that have been said thus far. Is those things are really nice things if we had a much bigger pool. We don't, as a matter of fact, as we all know, the pool is actually going to be smaller. So putting all of those things in, and you know, I greatly respect the comments from the folks, you know, that have young children, are concerned about the safety of the children, and getting all caught up in, those items. I mean, those are things you see at water parks that are major. If nothing else, and I know this is not part of the discussion, but, the bathhouse. I'd rather see the money go towards upgrading the bathhouse and things like that, because those are still amenities of the pool that people do get to enjoy. So I stand firm with the comments thus far, less is more. I do agree with some of the things that people have also commented about. I really respect, the comment about providing more areas for shade for those people that need it, that still want to be able to enjoy the pool. And lastly, I completely respect the architect. I'm in the engineering consulting industry. These folks were hired to do a job. They did their job. This discussion has nothing to do about them other than they're presenting their findings and what they were asked to do. So, be respectful of that. Thank you.
So did you want to give your vote of yay or nay?
Oh, I already made my comments.
Yeah.
Less is more.
Less is more, okay, just general across the board, okay.
I'm Cindy Gaynor, 85 West Manila. So just sharing the sentiment with all of us here. It's a smaller pool, so this is a lot of bling, for a smaller pool. So the amenities that I would like, would probably be slide, diving board, and then maybe the baby pool. Like one fun thing, I think when my kids are older now, but when they were little, I think they really would like that little fish slide. That would have been fun for them. But other than that, yeah, we still want space to swim. And I'm not a super big fan of those in-water lounge chairs. So yeah, that's my opinion. I'll let you.
Times, I live at 212 Drive. I've been here for 58 years, and I've been using the pool almost the whole time I'm here for my kids, my grandkids. And I think the only thing that should go in that pool is the diving board and the slide. And of course, for the blocks for the swim team. I was a water safety instructor for 20 years. With all that junk in the pool, you will not be able to teach kids to swim. And as far as the playing ball, there should be absolutely no ball playing in there. We have parks, we're gonna play ball, there's a ball field up over the field from if you wanna go in the shade, bring an umbrella or go back and sit in the shade. And as far as the baby pool, yes, there should be something in there for the kids. And, this is a community pool, not a country club pool. And I think something else that you should consider is, months ago, there was a young man here who lives on my street. And he works for a solar company. Solar panels could be put in there, and all the electricity stays right here. It doesn't go to Duke Light, and then you pay to have it come back to your house. So I think this is something that we should think of. That way the heater and the filter can be run 24 hours a day. They tell me it is, but it is not. I've gone to the pool, been there for an hour and a half, and there was nothing on. So, that's my thought. And, I hope you will, put a lot of thought into what you're going to do with it. Hey, Andrews, 54 West Manila Avenue. I've lived in Green Tree since 1990, moved here from Michigan. Kids grew up here. I raised my grandkids here. They've been to the pool
every single day that we could go. Number one question, is this pool heated? Okay. Number two, I think we need the slide. We need the diving board. Shade area, we're fine without that. Bring an umbrella or go under the shade. Just basic. Basic is all we really need. And that's about it. I enjoy going there. I'm retired now, so looking forward to it. And 2025, let's have the pool open.
Michelle Burchett, 1165 Tranter. I bought my house in November of 2011 and been going to the pool ever since. So, I agree with all the comments. We just need a slide and a dive. But my question is, there's that big X on that lounge. So if we don't want that, and that's what I thought when I first saw the plans come out, that it was X. I know. So if we exit and get rid of it, this is to the architect, what then becomes in that area? And how can, since we've made the pool smaller, and I think everybody here agrees that we don't need any of this extra. So can we redesign that space? Because I don't think anybody really wants that lounge, because who's gonna get those seats? Who's gonna find the child under the chair? That's all been discussed. So could there be a new model of the pool? Because, I mean, or was that not counted in the square footage? I watch a lot of HGTV. Is that in the space? Is that in my square footage or not in my square footage?
So that area, so that big X is essentially showing the sunshade.
Well, we don't, yeah.
That, so you would still have the lounge deck, but with no shade. So, you know, it's, you know, I think you would want some loungers in there, because so you would have nowhere to sit. Everybody, if they would want to sit in water, we'd have to either stand or
Which we do currently.
sit, yeah.
Or sit on the side like I do, because I'm in the back foot club.
Yeah.
I was in the back.
So this would be a new amendment. This isn't something we already have.
Right, this would be new.
So the area where the X is part of the current design. It's just whether or not we want to provide shade over it with lounge, with
We don't
those.
want the lounge, I want that whole thing X gone. That whole area.
Yeah, that's already included in the design. That's already been engineered. We're just trying to decide if we want to. Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't want the loungers, but then if you take the chairs out, then what level of water's there?
It's very shallow, so it's not like you would have to worry about a kid getting under it. It's not like that. And I don't know if you've ever been to a pool where they have those, but there's just typically a little, a strip that's maybe, you know, double the width of these tables.
I don't think the community wants
And
that whole
they
area.
can't, the lounges can't leave it. In other words, they're kind of locked in. They're kind of, there's a little shelf, if you will, that doesn't allow them just to float out in.
Well, I don't think we need the chairs or the shade for that whole area, because, I mean, I think the community probably would want more space for swimming and, like the same size pool that we currently have, instead of having those chairs, because who gets to sit there? Like, do I have to be there right at noon to get my ass on a chair? You know, so, and then who do I, like, you know, I called the chair today. I just don't know how that's gonna work.
It's shuffle your feet, use your seat.
Right.
Yeah. And, you
So,
know, a certain.
my vote is a no to that whole area.
Yeah.
And maybe, and I have been saying for months, I come up here and say, please keep the pool open, let's slow the process down. Let's close in August when the kids go back to school and
Try.
hopefully, right. But in the meantime, I know we agreed to, the council agreed to the pool design, but maybe we need to ask the kind architects to redesign without that lounge area. That's just my vote.
Pretty far along, level of decision change.
Pardon?
We'll do what we're asked to do.
No, are we too far?
I think it would.
Judy, can we let the architects answer my question?
Absolutely.
Are we too far along to change that design? We've heard that nobody wants, in this room.
If you wanted to eliminate that, yes, we could, we'd have to go back, redo a few things, might be a little bit of cost for that, but we can certainly change it.
I have a follow-up question.
I'll be like shuffle.
Yeah, so. No. So I just want to be clear on that.
I think there are too many microphones.
I just want some more clarification to that. So if we would remove that, right, you put an X on that completely, let's just say that's done. When you say there's a cost associated with it, and I would look, what is that cost? And what does that do for the timeline of this? Because I'm under the understanding that that means that we would not be able to put it out to bid anytime soon. It would be quite a while. And then we would not even, I don't even know if we could get a bid to start this year, at all. But I want to be clear, we might not even be able to open the pool if that's the case. Well, the heater is completely broken right now, completely broken. So there are other things that we would have to then assess, because the pool was not in great condition when it closed last year. So we would, I don't know all the details to that would have to come as those conversations went out. But I want to do the due diligence of explaining that, because I'm not quite sure I understand that.
It's not,
I think he's fine.
Okay.
it's not an insurmountable change or a massive change. See, the way this works, like when we're given a direction or a directive and we're told go this far, design to this point, that's what we do. So the documents are created and we're designed to this point. You asked us to go back, we'll gladly do that. We don't want to build a pool. This whole process, this whole process was over a year plus of many meetings where we got to this point. There were many designs, many layouts and so on. This is what we showed. So we can go back. It's not going to significantly delay or significant cost. Sitting here, I have to look back. We have to look back through the documents and the time frame. We can make this change. Is that the council directed to do?
Can I ask you one question?
If the mic, please.
Yeah. One question is, if you didn't put loungers in there and you just had that as a little low ledge water? Because I've been at hotels before where that's low ledge water is there, but there's no loungers there. And people just like sit in that area without a lounger. and without chair. So if that could happen, would it change, would you have to send it back out and redesign and do all that kind of stuff?
Well,
So
we have
eliminate the chairs.
I mean, anything you don't to do with that area, you have to redraw that area. And I'm not saying you can't do what we want to do, I'm just explaining how this works. You know, you have like 50 pages of these things at this point, so you have to go back through all that and change it, and we're glad to do that. But you have to tell us then what you want there. You know, do you want it gone completely? Do you want a bench put in there? I mean, this was part of a process where that was decided on at one point by everyone. So if you're going back.
Don't say everyone, I didn't.
How deep is that water right there?
What's it, 9 inches?
There's 9 inches of water.
I've been at hotels where that's been there, and that's how you get into the pool, and some people just stay there. They don't sit in a chair, they don't do anything, they just hang out there. And that's,
could sit on the floor.
If you left it like that and didn't put the loungers in, there'd be no changes.
Changes like
drawings.
the
You're not
drawing.
having to mount anything, it just stay what it is.
If you just left it the way it is.
Yeah, if you just didn't put the lounge chairs in, you could do the shade or not do the shade, but just leave that ledge.
Don't we also have 40 feet of steps?
Correct. Yeah.
That people can sit on?
Structurally, there would be no change to the drawings, but the drawings would have to be altered to eliminate that in respect to places.
Yeah, eliminate all of these things. That's,
right,
that
thank
was
you.
my understanding on it. Yeah.
The reason I'm light on comment with these things at this point is that throughout this process, you know, to get to that, as we went through all this, we showed different things, different options, those types of things that we talked about. This is what we were told at some stage that we want, so that's where we're at. If you don't want that, I can't tell you what you want, you guys have to tell us what you want.
Hi, Maureen Callis, Forest Drive. I am a member of the 5 Foot Club and also the Less is More Club. And the beauty of Green Tree Pool is that it is a cute community pool. I actually moved here to this community because I babysat my cousin's children and brought them to the pool, and then I brought my family here. So it's super simple. Keep it simple, keep it clean, let the children have their creativity. My question and devil's advocacy here is that I wasn't aware, and I'll take responsibility for the meetings that were starting to talk about the pool. I was otherwise engaged, but now that it's been brought to my attention, I'm here. So my understanding when I started coming to the meetings was that there was a directive to the engineers that we liked a certain design and we asked them to make it slightly bigger, and they came back with slightly smaller. So my question is, with us removing all of these very expensive amenities, and yes, I'm for slide, blocks, diving board that I never go off, and something small for the children and the wading pool, of course. Shades, we have trees, we can build a small shade in the corner for people that needs, if that's what we need to do, a more stable thing. But my question is, if we take out all of these very expensive amenities, can we go back to looking at making this just slightly larger? And I'm not a fan of the lounge area, and I'm not a fan of keeping that empty, because to me, that's a hazard for somebody, as I age into my 60s quite soon, of slipping and falling into deeper water, myself, not only children. And, you know, right now I'm looking, you know, we love the edge of the pool. I live on the edge of the pool. I swim my laps in the 5 foot because I'm not a good swimmer, so I don't take up a lane. So I do my thing there, but I'm not seeing any edge availability. So now we have a whole line of steps. We have a whole line of ADA ramp. Yay, let's make it accessible to everyone. And that lounger just takes away that area where I do my water exercises. And where are the ladies in Fay gonna do the water aerobics? Because like, I'm knocking on that door. I'm not knocking on that door to get there. So now my question is, if we take out all the expensive amenities, can we go back to what I was understanding when I started coming to these meetings, as we gave the directive as a community to make the pool slightly larger, and the design that came back and was approved was one that is slightly smaller?
Well, let me respond to that. I'm sure at some point we were asked to make it bigger, and I know that we did. And then then we were asked to make it smaller again. As we went through all
That's
this,
not the way it would.
no, sir, I'm sorry. I can show you that many times we were given many different directions, make it smaller, make it bigger, different designs. We went through all of that. And the way it works for us, you know, we were part of this process to hear what we want, but then this group gives us our direction after we tell them what we want. So we always would hear and respond to those requests. How many times did we changed the size many times, larger and smaller, and then this eventually was decided. We never were given a direction, went the other way.
But
True.
I'm not pointing the finger, I'm asking the question. The biggest question to me is, well, keeping the 5 foot for the safety of the turns of the swim team. I have grown adult children and I'm expecting my first grandchild to take to the Green Tree Pool. But my understanding is that 6 inches is significant for teaching terms.
At this stage, because it's 80% plus done, if you change the size of the depths, we're basically starting over.
And all the money would have been gone.
Would 5 foot have been operational in your planning?
All the different concepts included from the beginning. How many would we have? Like 12? This is 12.1.
Yeah, this is 14th concept.
My understanding, and I could be
So
wrong, is that 5 foot was unsafe by a design standpoint, when it was very much asked for by the swim team for the safety of turns for those children learning turns in the pool. So I'm just asking to clarify my understanding of transparency.
In this design, that statement was made, that was true. Because if you go from here, now, there were pools shown in those 14 concepts that were had 5 feet
No, never.
originally.
The original pool was fine.
The original pool.
Yeah.
The original pool.
Yeah.
The original.
Yeah, the original pool was sloped down. But see, if you go from
Right there.
yeah, 3, 6 to 5, that's too much of a slope change in that distance for the design that you chose, and then it becomes a ground design. And that's a proven safety problem. So that's why we made the statement that with this layout, to go to 5 feet was too deep and was a safety.
Thank you for your clarification.
And just to go a little further, this pool was at the stair end wide 5 feet from the original concept 12. So it did get bigger, but it never reached the point of, I think, the original footprint, square footage of your pool now.
Why?
That's not the way to make that.
We're still at the community point, do you have anything else, is it not all?
I'm completely confused by your comment. If you could repeat it, just because that's a lot of
Sure.
information.
You made a statement that there was a directive to make the pool bigger. At that point, council, I think, was satisfied with the configuration, the L configuration at concept 12. Concept 12 then got 4 foot wider on the left end of the pool, or 5 foot wider on the left end of the pool to expand the square footprint of the chosen configuration to work for recreational area and competition area in the same pool configuration.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's
But
fine.
this current design that we're looking at is smaller than our original pool.
Right.
Thank you.
But this concept is larger than your last concept.
No,
Right, I need to understand clarity in the information that's being shared. Because like I said, I wasn't aware of the first meetings. I would take full responsibility for that. Thank you for improving communications. I and my son will be on you about that, because that's what we do. But yes, I mean, I appreciate you being open and honest with that, sir.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Chris Crossley, live at 6-9 West Mill Avenue. I just wanted to reiterate, a lot of people have said, that's a lot of stuff in the pool. I know visually just looking at the plans, it doesn't, but it is a smaller pool, and that's extremely busy. I know we lived here for 6 years, and one of the nice things when we saw the pool the first time.
Yeah, I think it's, okay.
But one of the things that was nice about the pool in the area was its simplicity. Having the diving board is obviously needed, the slide was really good. But a lot of the other spray things that are in there, I think, are just busy, unnecessary. They're just gonna clog things up. I don't like the lounge chairs only because I generally believe that it will cause more issues between neighbors claiming them than it would actually do to cause relaxation. The other thing too that I was looking at, I don't know what the scope of this design is, but at the top, if you were to scroll up on the screen, there are 3 sunshades that look like they're in the grass area. I also oppose those. I don't think we need to have shade we live in Green Tree. Most of it's covered by trees. We don't need those in the center of the grass area.
Edith Press, 197 Shelton Avenue. As far as the amenities, water aerobics can't perform in a way that we do our exercises with all that stuff. We've been having water aerobics. A lot of people don't know because we come before the pool opens. And we have, probably 10 sessions, for, 10 sessions for a 6-week period. We have mostly seniors. I know this is a pool for children, but as several people mentioned, it is for all the community. We all pay taxes. Pools really don't make money. So we want something that everyone can enjoy. All the slide, all the other things that they mentioned, the diving board, of course, the baby pool, they're all wonderful. So let's keep it simple. We don't need enough playground. We have lots of playgrounds.
Dave Bonnet, 102 East Manila. Is there a requirement for like numbers of lifeguards? Is there any code?
Yeah.
What is required?
Yes, and I'm sorry, I turned this off, so I wouldn't conflict. Yes, there is, and what Judy said earlier, it goes by square footage and dividers for that.
Okay, just, and you're showing two more positions, not including they usually have someone that's not necessarily a lifeguard at the slide, but this is, in my view, they can add two more lifeguards. Another question I have for you, what kind of gutter is it return?
Stainless steel.
Is it similar to what we currently have? I mean, is there an actual
Yeah.
gutter on the edge? Would that also go around the lounge area?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't understand, you're talking about increasing expenses by eliminating that lounge area. That's what, maybe 200 square foot? They're all straight wall across. You're eliminating gutter return. What's the depth on the far right of that lounge area? From the lounge area to the bottom of the pool?
The line there, that ladder is 3'6". You're talking.
Correct, yeah. So if there's a drop off out of that lounge
No, I'm
area.
sorry, you're 3 foot, right?
Well, I'm pretty much with everybody else, a pole, a slide. Anything hard tight, it's gonna create maintenance and make it harder to eliminate. If you don't want it, I disagree with. Let's keep things simple. And I don't understand, it's a piece of paper from the engineering standpoint, how much cost it is to eliminate 200 square foot and just make that a straight wall across. That doesn't seem like it's a very difficult task that would increase cost.
Everything is cross-sectioned, everything is numbered, to change that actually.
But at this point, it's still on paper. It's
No.
not out to bid.
There's many pieces of,
It's not out to
many
bid,
pieces of land that
but
you're not seeing.
I understand what you're saying, no point, but it's not out of bid yet. So I don't, I see that as wasted space. Thank you.
Christine Short, 251 Park Edge. I've come to all these workshop meetings. I even come and sit in council meetings once a month. I hear council continuously say that we're for the people. I hope tonight that you folks listen to these folks back here. They want it simple. The slide, the diving board, maybe something in the baby pool. But I really hope if you're for the people of Green Tree, you listen to them.
Diane comes to 72 Ringgold Avenue. 8 years old, that's how old I was when the original pool was open, so don't do math. All right, keep it simple, all right? We wanna go to the pool, and I think other things that we can do instead is make egress to and from that little parklet. A lot of kids, they leave by the concession stand, run through the park over there, and then have to come back in, and their feet are all covered with sawdust and things like that. So they're close enough that they can do that. There was 2 diving boards. We had a high dive and a low dive. Yeah, that was sweet. We had a stupid whale in the baby pool, concrete piece of crap. all right? You do not need anything like that in there. If you wanna put a mushroom in, make the mushroom off-site of the pool. It will degrade and deteriorate over time, and we don't need it. We don't need any sun area, we don't need any of those consumable products that are gonna wear and tear over time. And I think if you have all these protective shades and stuff near the pool, you're gonna see an increase in cancer, because people are gonna think this is where they have to hang for 24/7, all right? By not having any of this stuff, it regulates that they have to leave the pool, go put more stuff on their body so that they don't burn and toast, okay? The lounge area, I mean, there's a couple people in the room that we have had parents that have owned a good portion. I don't reference these people, but have always had the lounge area. They were first and foremost, they had that slot. And God forbid, if you got up there, you took their thing, you were really in a bad way. Lanes, I'm a laner, I hang in a 5 foot unless there are people there that I don't wanna be around. I go to the little kid zone. I've even gone off the diving board and I go down the slide. Let's just keep it simple. And I thank you very much.
What is the adult population of Green Tree?
I can pull it up, it'll take me a few minutes to get it, but I do have it. It'll take me, can I get to my computer to do it? It'll be much easier than trying to do.
Ron Poplar, 57 Rose Avenue. I agree with less is more, especially since we're gonna have a smaller pool. Just a suggestion or a thought, the lounge area with the cover. Maybe you wanna just put something there, like maybe the mushroom. Okay, that's fine. Get rid of the mushroom. Let's just leave it empty. And people can sit there with their feet in the water if they wanna just relax. As far as the shade over there, I know someone mentioned about cancer, sunscreen, sun cancer. What's the option of having something portable? Like you have the umbrellas on the lifeguard chairs. You got a hole in the ground, you put the pole in the ground, put the umbrella up to shade a corner of that area for someone that needs shade. It's not in grass. That's on the concrete deck. And as far as the solar panel issue, I don't know if anybody's contacted you yet on that.
I think we have, no, I'm not sure about that.
I talked to Trinity Solar.
Right.
And I gave them your email address to contact you to discuss possibility. You're talking about saving money, and that was, from what I understand, one of the reasons why we wanted a smaller pool, because they wanted less maintenance. That's what I was told at meetings here. So if that's the case, you want to save more money, if you put solar panels on them buildings over there to handle all the electric for heaters, for electric, this pool's only open 3 months out of the year, but guess what? Solar panels are working 12 months out of the year. You'll be getting a check in the mail out of those other 9 months because you're not using any electric. So you're pushing that electric coming from those solar panels back on the grid, and you get credits. You're not gonna be paying for any electric to handle this pool. So think about that and look into it, because that's a big savings there. I know, because I have solar panels on my house. And I'm generating 50% of the electric for my house. Now, keep in mind, you are gonna have to pay a monthly bill to the company that's gonna be monitoring it. But after 3 years, I'm already seeing a savings in my electric overall. Thank you.
Cindy Wolford, I live at 1031 Norris Drive. I agree with everybody with all these wonderful points that have been brought up by the residents here at Green Tree. I saw a lot of the things on these pages. I'm thinking liability, 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 people getting hurt, especially the little kids. But it doesn't seem to me that this is gonna be ready to go out to bid. Not with everything that's been brought up. And I think you need to look into it more. And maybe ask some of the residents to help you. And take in all the points that have been brought up. And see if we can finally come to an area here that everybody is happy with, agrees with, and we'll get this pool open. And if it's not ready to go to bid by March, can this pool be open for this season? For 3 months, for these children and the 5-foot club, and the water aerobics, and just people to go up there and enjoy their kids. And so we have a place for them to swim this summer. And then have it ready to go when the pool closes Labor Day and get it taken care of. So that it's not closed for this summer and that it's not closed for 2 summers. And let's get it together. And I will help you if you need it. Thank you.
I will say, it might be an approximate number,
That's
right?
fine.
But
Yeah.
the populations fluctuate. But the adult population in Green Tree is roughly 3,982 people. That is a little, probably a little high, just because the way that the census groups people, you're getting a lot of like older teens in that. But you could, okay, subtract school enrollment from that, but I don't have the time to do that right now.
So even if we're talking 3,500.
Yeah, that's a good,
1,000.
yeah.
There's about 25 people in this room. That's less than 1% of our community's population. And I don't think it's adequate to say that this room, as it currently stands, can make the decision for the entire community and adequately reflect everyone's desires and needs.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Go ahead. Okay.
Aldo R. Colati, 143 Sheldon Avenue, 15220. I would like to comment that it seems that most of the people are not for all these amenities. It seems to be that the diving board and the swimming pool, swim team blocks, those kind of things are important. Maybe something to the in the baby pool. I see these things, the 2 folks that said about hazards, I'm very concerned about these amenities being hazards. I spoke about this at the June 17th meeting. I know there's people here in this room who probably weren't at that meeting, and even some council people that are on council now weren't on council then. I don't know if, they were paying attention back then in June of last year. But anyways, for those people's benefits, I spoke about safety issues like that. I'm concerned about needing more lifeguards, people being injured by these things with the sprays. And I also mentioned then that there's plumbing that goes to those sprays. And then later on, if we decided we didn't want them, that we put them in, and then suddenly we decide that's a bad idea, we don't want them anymore, then you would be sawing off those things and you'd be having pipes sticking out. And that would require, reworking the bottom of the pool and things like that. So I think we need to get it right at the beginning, because if we decide later on, and then we'll have to sell those things to somebody else for pennies on the dollar. And I'm also concerned about storage. There could be storage costs associated with removing these things during the winter season or whatever, and having to put them somewhere, for the winter. So there could be storage costs, maintenance costs, those kind of things. Very concerned about safety, and along that lines, I'm very concerned about it being obstacles
for the water aerobics, which was mentioned. I think the number of people that would be able to attend water aerobics with all these obstacles or hazards would have to be decreased. The class size would have to be decreased. It's a very popular activity. Those people pay extra money to attend water aerobics. I believe now the class size is limited to 45 people. It's very popular, and I believe they get about that many people that sign up. Concerning the area that's been Xed out, is it possible that that area could just be additional water space at like the 3 feet depth or whatever the depth that the water is? So it would be like a little, extra little corner of the pool, and that would be also be the 3 feet deep or whatever else it is in that surrounding area. So that's the point. Also the swim lanes, you're talking about the 5 feet deep and all this in the middle area and how far it would extend over or whatever. My understanding is part of the swim lanes are a deeper depth and the other lanes are the more shallow depth. The council increased the shallow end of the lanes to 4 feet 6 inches from, I believe the design was originally 4 feet deep. You can't be using the lanes for like general, activities or whatever when people are swimming in them. So if there were certain lanes that are marked off for swimming, then those lanes wouldn't be available for the general swimming, the people who mentioned that about the small space, in between. So I have concerns about that, and particularly insurance liability. I don't know if anybody has given a thought to what having all these amenities like this in terms of hazards would do to our insurance liability and our insurance policy. And I wouldn't want us to end up like Dormont, not to talk bad about a neighboring community whose parks were shut down because their parks were no longer considered safe. So I don't know if anybody has considered what extent, if any, adding all these things would increase the insurance policy on the pool. So I think that should be considered. Regarding the cost of the pool, I think it would be wise before a bid was put out to have a bid done. These fine gentlemen from this company have done a lot of work. And they said that they're just giving us basically a ballpark estimate as to a cost of the pool. I think it would be a good point if the borough would get an opinion from some construction company. And I don't mean just send out the bids, but before bids would even be put out as to whether their estimate, no disrespect toward them, is it all, accurate or in the ballpark or whatever, so that we would have an idea. I think money that might be being budgeted toward amenities should be considered for cost overruns or things like that, or also renovation to the pump house. Because my understanding is none of these plans have considered replacing the pump house at this time. And that might be something that would need to be done and possibly expanded, and people like myself mentioned that back at the June meeting. So I would suggest you folks review, including the audience as well, things that were said at that June, I believe it was June 17th meeting. But I think that, and if there is a vote on these amenities, it should be done on a line by line basis. And so that's another point I would like to make. But I am very concerned about the functional space of the swimming pool, particularly in the shallow end, being decreased by all of these water features, because people use that area who are not children, especially water aerobics people, and I believe it would be much more difficult to participate in water aerobics with all these obstacles. Thank you very much.
I have a email that was sent by a resident that asked Margaret. From that spot.
This is from Kelly Welch. She is custodian, so she was unable to come. She said on the proposed main pool feature, she likes the feature a current pool has, the slide, the diving board, the basketball hoop is also a great idea. Indifferent on the in-water lounge, could be a nice feature, probably won't cause issues, but if anyone fights against it, no remove, that's fine. Features she thought were unnecessary, the zip line, the floatables, the mushroom spray, shower and spill tall sprays. Smaller water features in the baby pool, the basketball hoop is out of the way while giving entertainment. If you were gonna add another pool feature, she said the weeping tall water spray might be the best option, something that doesn't take up a lot of space. In regards to the diving board with the zip line, she was concerned about them being too close. Good with the diving blocks and the other things. Proposed wading pool, she doesn't have any input on the pool features since she doesn't have little ones. And that is all of it.
I think it should be noted that what you did, that was a summary.
Oh, well, because I'm only gonna address the things that are about the amenities, because that's what we're discussing.
Okay. It was a summary.
Yeah, well, I'm reading almost everything, I just took out the things that were regarding.
What was her address?
Oh. She is Marsh on the before. She didn't put her address in the email. 147, Sheldon, yeah.
I can find that.
You can pull that up, thank you, sorry, she didn't put it in her email, I would have told you. I do have a question based on something Aldo said about changing that bid or ledge, instead of it being a ledge, to just the same depth as that area of the pool, and just making it actually pool space, since it's already designed to be cut in. Is that something that could easily be done, I guess is the question.
It's no more difficult than anything else you're asking, whether you change it to what you're talking about,
It's just that, I mean, we can't, like, because the layout is already.
hollow it out, make it the same depth as the floor, you can do it.
That's just a question, thank you.
So do we have anyone else? Because if not, then we will continue, continue with council on the floor so that we all have our microphones and everyone at home can see us as well.
One question.
Yeah.
I'll make it quick, I promise.
Yeah.
So I was looking over the spreadsheet for the bids, and that's, I deal with this every single day with my companies. So there's base bids, there's alternate bids, 2, 3, 8. And essentially, the additional bids that are on here, like number 2, number 3, are those something that's gonna be bidded out as a whole, or are those individual pieces? Like, is it like, if we do bid number 2, is that a separate bid for the amenities, or is that a separate bid for the way the pool is structured with the amenities?
Any alternate that you're seeing there, basically just for the amenity.
So,
And
so we're just wrapping them into like bid number 3.
And what it takes to install it.
Okay,
So it's basically like we pick and choose, like,
okay,
we could pick 3 things on here, and one could be a base bid and one could be an alternate bid.
but it
That's
doesn't
what
make
we
a
would go.
difference.
It doesn't, no, we just have to, it's more picking.
So but the bids are essentially in place because of, like you said, the work that would be entailed,
The base
the
bids.
bid of putting them
Because they
into
do
the
the
pool.
plumbing, right.
Okay,
Those base bids were the ones that needed the more intricate plumbing.
but all of this is included in the price of the
Yeah.
pool.
Yes.
Okay. Alright,
And they can, for example, if council directed us, say at the end of this, that you're just gonna keep the slide, the dive and something else, and that's your base bid. But you could still make, for example, the slide, even though you want it, an alternate, so that, you know, like, we figure your pool like a max of 4 million. If somebody decides that your lowest bidder is 4.25, and you still want to build it, now you don't want to put the slide in and you back that out, if you have an alternate allowing you to accept something or not accept something without having to go back and rebid. That's why you put things that are larger items as alternate.
I'm sorry, I had something in my eye, which is why I'm blinking like a wire. Do we have any other comments from our group here? And then if not, Kim, if you could get us prepared to meet up there, thank you. Yeah, you'll have a moment. Yeah, it's not even. Let's turn off the mic.
Any questions?
What's that?
Right. Don't need that anymore. Stay still away.
Let me go back.
So Brent had to take, a restroom break. Tom, I believe that we can have you answer questions, and then if it's something you keep, or should we wait? We can wait.
I was gonna say, give us a minute.
Give it a minute, that's fair.
Could, certain aspects of this project are in his wheelhouse,
Yeah,
other aspects are in mine.
yeah.
I'm the head structural designer. I am involved in presentations, but certain things Brian handles better
Your
than me.
team, it's all good. We'll handle it from the teams. We'll just wait a moment for Brian to get back. It is a good time. If any of council members need to go to the restroom, you do have to go downstairs.
Why don't we call intermission?
We can call an intermission.
It's not so.
It's amazing no one smokes cigarettes anymore. 20 years ago, half the people would be outside right now. Grabbing a cigarette. Seriously. Oh, yeah. He was.
Yeah. It takes my. Oh. Little educational pieces. I'm just, it's always not. Yeah. Front of one.
Hey, thanks, those. I thought that was gonna be recessed. That's all.
Are back, so we can move on to this next portion. Everyone. So we are going to move on to the council discussion portion of this, and we will go in order. Ms. Schwartz, before we begin that, is there anything else that you would like us to consider?
Yes, based on, Mr. Aldo's comments at the end, feedback we've gotten, in regards to that lounger area, would council be willing to discuss the possibility of, instead of having it be a bathing ledge, opening that up to the same depth that the rest of the pool is in that area, making that a swimming, bathing area instead of a bather lounge? So it seems like the appetite for the lounge area is not as great. And that ledge would still be there then with that on the edge of that swimming area for people to sit.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Sure. Yeah.
Same change.
What?
It would be the same change as just put a wall, right?
It would be basically, it would be the depth. We would not lose the space. We would gain it as area for people to stand.
They would have to re-engineer.
No.
Not greater, not to the limits of changing the layout, and the shape is still the same. They have to change the depth, correct?
Yeah,
And the
we have to
plumbing.
change something.
It's is it a minimal change or a maximum change? I guess is the question.
It's a minimum.
Okay.
Do we want, I would suggest that, we go through with our questions, keeping that in mind. And then when we get to that portion of, the amenities list, we can have our, we can see what everyone thinks about that.
Okay.
Since we're all, since it seems that we're open of interest to discuss it and to,
I mean,
I think that's fair with me, yeah.
A good option.
Yeah.
To change that, since that area seems to be, the way it's designed right now seems to be less appetizing for the residents. That we could make that.
Yeah, I
useful
think
space.
it's totally fair to have that.
Yep.
Okay. So we are, this is our point to ask some, any additional questions or things that we had when we were thinking, and listening to the presentation. So, we are gonna go in alphabetical order by the, last name, and then it'll end with Ms. Schwartz, because she is the committee chair. So first up, we have Ms. Demi.
Hi, thank you. Thank you guys for coming out here.
Is it Marshall?
Can you hear me?
You guys hear me?
Can you speak up? I know they're not hearing you.
I don't sing out, Louise. Yes, I will do that.
There we go.
Perfect. Okay. I've never been accused of being too quiet. So my biggest question, or my first question is about expected longevity of some of these features. Sorry.
I'm sorry, were you,
Yes, no.
I have a question for.
What's the expected life for it? How long are these features expected to last? I know that we've been kind of cutting them as we go. I think everyone in this room immediately said no to the floatables and things like that, that were kind of the soft skin ones that I would assume die faster. But for example, the mushroom spray, or any of the sprayers, the basketball hoop, how long are they?
Features are made out of different things. Some are powder coated steel, some are fiberglass or painted. And what you do in the off season, you wrap them and protect them from the sunlight. Typical, some of the things that are painted or fiberglass every 10 years after we paint them. Typically, most of them will last 20 years. So floatables not as long. The floatables are maybe 6-7 years because they're a skin thing.
Okay, so about 20 years, and then you're looking at having to replace it or something. What's the average lifespan nowadays of a pool?
Well, your structure should last long and longer than the one you had there, and maybe you would have to replace, you know, like your mushroom.
The amenity, okay.
An amenity or something you have to replace in 20 years.
I imagine that would get costly if you're looking at the plumbing and everything that's underneath.
Well, I'm just talking about
Yes.
replacing like the mushroom itself.
Okay.
You don't have to replace anything under the ground or concrete, so it's just that feature, just like like your slide that you all like, you know, that's a fiberglass thing, that has a life. You can recoat them, you can repaint them with, you know, the metal structure eventually will, you know, 20 years, it's gonna be getting a little shabby, that you probably want a new one, but you're not gonna have to build a new pool, you just replace this stuff.
Thank you. And then second question, obviously you work on new pool design, more frequently than I do. What are you seeing across the board when communities are coming together and looking at pools? Are they going more amenity heavy? Are they going more simple? Like, what is standard in the industry for the amount of amenities per size of pool or anything like that? Is there, or?
Yes, this is very unusual. It's not wrong. It's your community and it's your vision. It's not wrong. It's just unusual. It's normal. And if you go around, for example, we just did a study for the city of Pittsburgh. They have, I think, 20 or 21 pools still operating. They are amenity less also, which is unusual, but they want to make a change to that. The idea is if you go to, you know, and working for Allegheny County right now too, or any of those types of places, the general concept of this was that you have different age, different activity levels in your community. So that a kid of this age or a kid of that age or an adult of this age kid, that you go and you have something to do. That's the general premise of this community type play. So what you see, what you had before you was common, and that's why it got so far in this process. Don't forget, this started a long time ago with many different concepts, and this was arrived at, okay? So it's unusual, but it's not wrong. If your vision is what we've talked about today, then so be it. That's not wrong. It's just what Green Tree wants, and that's what we're here to do. But the answer is what you saw before you is by and large the yardstick. It doesn't usually go this way. It usually goes the opposite way, and that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we have Ms. House.
So I just have a couple questions. I know the community largely doesn't want a lot of amenities, but just to do our due diligence. With regards to the basketball hoop and the zip line, if either or both of those were to be installed, does that increase any sort of restricted space around those features? Whereas would there be space around those that would not be allowed to be used if they were in use with people playing basketball or going off the zip line? What are the safety considerations around those?
I mean, the basketball really doesn't change anything. You can see where it's located, and that could be put somewhere else, but we have it where it is, so that it's in a depth where you can stand and play basketball. Okay, it's too deep, you can't do it. You're not harming anything other than if they miss the backboard, it's gonna go on the deck. So the zip line, you see kind of a half moon drawn around it. That's your area.
Yeah, that's your area influence where you would fall off of it and should not be occupied by any.
And they would have to put ropes in them around that?
That one is not broke, but you see you have the guard in between and the ladder in between. And actually, we do have that separated.
Brent, can I ask a question? Can I just ask a favor? When Tom is responding, can we make sure he gets a mic to speak into? Yeah, he's gonna use the handheld. Thank you.
And we have the zip line and the dive space, that has an area of influence too, which is general with this. But we have them spaced, code wide and common sense wise far enough apart. So yes, when you're using either of those, you have to stay away from that area.
Okay, and then that one lifeguard there would be responsible for the diving board and the zip line? That's how that's drawn?
Yeah, in this case, and these guard chairs are movable. Now, back to the original guard question, we go by the code, we go by the numbers of square footage, but then if we think that the code doesn't provide enough for the features that are there, we will increase it or add on to cover the features that are there. We, tonight was, we weren't anticipating going back to that, so I don't have those numbers in front of me, but that's what was looked at. If the managers of the community thinks we don't have enough, then we can add what.
Okay. And then with regards to the slide, do we know how tall that is? And is there one slide option? Or does whoever gives us the bid, the winning bid, they get to decide what kind of slide goes in?
Yes, there is a pre-established slide height. I haven't, bear with me till I get it one. Yep, entry height is, the platform height off the deck is 11 feet 1 inches. Is there an option for this? Well, seeing
It's specified in a specific model.
Okay, thank you. I think all my other questions were answered through the course of the discussion, so thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Pienza?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Someone pointed out there's less than 1% of the population of Green Tree in this room. However, this is the less than 1% that is very passionate and uniform into what they would like to see. Everyone was on the same wavelength. So I myself, as council person, I'm going to abide by what I heard tonight and try to keep this to the bare minimum. Just a real quick question. Everyone wanted the diving board though. It would seem, as Aldo mentioned, liability. It would seem like the diving board would probably be the least safest thing in the swimming pool. What have you heard, like, what's the trend with diving boards? Like, are they becoming less popular, more popular, like?
No, they're very common, they're very popular.
They're very popular.
We actually get the most liability from people falling on the deck.
Okay.
You can get liability in these facilities just by opening the doors.
Okay.
And all the toys and so on, the manufacturers we haven't had, anyone, we haven't had anyone in my career hurt one of these types of features except, one person had a pool in Indiana, PA, and I'm running that pool up there, it's a Mac pool. And that was if you've ever been, it had a corkscrew type slide. And if you've ever been in McDonald's and plane landing, like you go through the gate and you crawl up the steps and it's made for kids to go down. An adult, decided he was gonna go down and went running at the door and missed it and dove into the wall. And that's what happened for that. So, yes, dives are very common. They're the most fun. It's probably the last thing, back in the old days, dives were great and still are. Probably the last thing you want to remove. We haven't had any liability with the others. Other than that, you get more slip and falls around the pool, and that's almost impossible to regulate. You have the specs, the things have to be non-excluding. So when you're talking water and it's an environment like that, things can just happen.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Ray?
Yeah, thank you. So I want to thank the 20 or 21 people that came up to the podium tonight to voice their opinion. That actually represents 0.005% of the adult population in Green Tree. It's interesting to hear that we're going to base a vote on the input from those 21 people. I appreciate that we do. Many council are on record that 450 people that signed the petition and paused the design was a small vote minority. I just want to remind you of that. We might not be in the situation that we are in currently if we had listened to those 450 people and paused the design to ensure that we have the right design for Green Tree and into the future. This is not a criticism, Mr. Boyer, of your firm. I think it's more, the way this process was managed and the lack of communication that we had with the community, and more importantly, the lack of communication back to us. But just for the record, and this is in the minutes, on June 17th, you presented us, C12, which was 7,184 square feet. At that meeting, in the minutes, it says, council will continue to discuss concept C12 and what changes could be made to improve the usage for all patrons. They discuss ways the concept could possibly be adjusted to create slightly more square footage, as the concept presented is smaller than the current pool. Mr. Boyer agreed to make adjustments to concept C12 to present council with these revisions. That was on June 17th. 2 weeks later, on July 12th, we were presented with design C-12.1, which was 6,781 square feet. And that's just for the record. I know it's water under the bridge. Hopefully, I'm hearing that, we might rethink this waiting area. Hopefully we can rethink the design, more holistically, ensure that we have a bigger pool, which we heard from the community this summer that they want. They want a bigger pool. Definitely heard today that they want less stuff. I have a question in terms of receiving input. Did we receive input from the swim team coach about the blocks and swim teams?
We did actually, I met with them on Friday and the blocks.
Do we have, were we provided that communication?
It was just an informal meeting. They just wanted to talk to me about, tonight. And the only thing we talked about were the blocks. And I showed them the blocks that, the architect had, suggested, which is exactly the same as what they had brought forward. And the only other,
They wanted the flags.
yeah, it was just simple things like the backstroke flags, and that was about it. They had no concerns from anything that I reviewed with them.
We're also voting tonight on this competition lanes, no concerns there.
Yeah, they were fine with the amenities that were for this one, we on this list.
Which include
The
competition starting blocks.
competition starting blocks,
Competition
the
lanes.
links, yes.
Oh, the
ropes.
The ropes, yes.
And they're okay with that.
And everything that I reviewed with them, they did not take exception to.
Okay. So I actually want to go back to this design discrepancy, and to make sure that I'm understanding it the way it's presented in the minutes. June 17th, 7,184 square feet. July 12th, we voted on 6,781.
I don't recall the numbers, but Tom's son was sitting here.
The numbers are in the minutes. I'm not making them up.
Yeah, I get the story. We were sitting here talking about that. There was in the process of all 12 routine concepts. At that point, there was a discrepancy in the square foot calculated, you're correct. And we made that then known at some point, then it's changed from there, and then from 12, we did go up, that's when we increased by 4 foot from 12 to 12.1. But your number, you're correct that that number you have there, it went down from that, but that wasn't the correct number. So you're right.
What number did we vote? I asked this in a meeting. What number did we vote on?
The number that we approved that they.
6,781.
Yes.
Which is smaller than what we had 2 weeks before.
But the beach entry was in the design 2 weeks before, and then we moved to steps.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah,
that is correct.
there were a lot of changes during that time frame.
It was the,
It did go from a beach entry to a step entry.
so there was a discrepancy. I'm hearing it for the first time tonight that there was a
We
discrepancy.
discussed this multiple times, if that was the change.
Mr. Boyer just said that there was a discrepancy. That is the first time that we've heard that there was a discrepancy. Correct?
I don't know what was discussed in one meeting, but there was a discrepancy at one point that was corrected.
Yeah, we did discuss the changes that Ms. Schwartz said in that meeting.
We did not. It's on the record. on YouTube, it's in the minutes. We did not discuss the change. We voted on the design. We thought was bigger, and then after the fact, we realized that it was small. We discussed it after we voted, not before.
I think that the numbers that were on. That were voted, the numbers that were voted on are the numbers are correct. The July 1st meeting,
So the discrepancy was in the June 17th meeting was incorrect?
I'm not sure. I think that, I thought that the number change was based on going from because I know that there was a meeting with public facilities at the end of June. When we went from a beach entry to a step entry. And then that little bit of an additional width, and I thought that.
I mean, that changed things quite a bit.
That's what my
We did add the
understanding
4 feet.
But-
I just know in the end it was correct. I don't remember that sequence, and I'm sorry, sir, I didn't know that we were gonna be talking about this, or I didn't research any of that.
But the
I just know
numbers
that it-
approved in July are the numbers on correct.
Correct.
Okay, but there was a discrepancy from 2 weeks prior. That's what I just heard.
I don't know the time.
There was a change, and my understanding it was because of the change from the beach entry to the step entry.
Because it has to
And
be.
you know what, I have to,
Was
I'm sorry,
7,100.
I have to say that was not correct, because I remember distinctly, the steps were already there.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, but,
Yeah.
and I was looking at that figure, June 17th, of 7,100. And I was the one that said, you know what, 7,100, our pool 7,600. I go, can we tweak it a little to
Yes,
get it
it's
a
in the
little
minutes. It's right
closer?
here.
So they said, yes, they'll move the left wall at 5 feet, okay? So when I left the meeting, I thought we were at 7,100 and they were gonna move the wall out 5 feet to get us closer to the 7.6. I came in to the July meeting, I saw my diving board was over where I wanted it moved. I saw the wall was pulled back. I admit, I did not read the fine print that suddenly, instead of it go from 7.1 to make 7.2 or 7.3, it went down to 6.0.
Not only was it small print, it was the last page in like 186 pages of the agenda. We're dealing with designs that I need a freaking microscope to look at. I mean, we have no point of scale when we're considering these things. There are so many lines, there's roped off areas for this slide that looks like it's taking up half the pool. I mean,
I'm
Well, this
looking,
was
I'm
done,
looking at the
it's still-
17th, and C12 had a beach entry.
It did
at
have a
that
beach
time.
entry.
I'm looking at.
here's the thing, Emily. 7,184, we said go back and make it bigger. It went down to
But we took
6,781.
out the beach entry.
Beach entry or not, we wanted it bigger. As Mr. Panza just said, we wanted that wall to come out 5 feet to make the overall footprint bigger. We heard it from the residents that they wanted a bigger pool. You've heard it loud and clear,
And we did do that, we did move the wall.
You did.
but a little bit, but not, we didn't drastically
Yeah, we moved it
go.
out 4 feet.
We're going smaller. We're changing, we have a lounge area that took up space, it's taking up usable swim space. We have an ADA area that's taking up usable space. The mayor reached out to Ms. Miller and your firm, and he asked questions. He reported last meeting that he didn't get answers. We heard from the community loud and clear, the media was here, but we wanted a bigger pool, and now I'm hearing screwed up this lounge area because we didn't listen. Now let's refinagle it, let's redesign it and make it a little waiting space. It's just, we're gonna spend $4 million, we're making changes on the fly like this, it's just unbelievable.
We are
It's-
here tonight.
It's still my time. I heard tonight that the heater is broken in the current pool, is that true?
But it was broken at the end of last year. yes.
Isn't it always in need of repair? We have Public Works here tonight, they take care of it. Can we speak in, is it repairable?
It is repairable.
Okay. We heard tonight that the pool was not in great condition, at the end of last season. What does that mean?
The pool is 62 years old. There are always concerns going into pool season. We hope that any malfunctions are minimal and able to be repaired. And at the end of last season, anybody that swam the last week knows that it was not heated to the extent that it normally is. And, we'd be looking at about $6,200 to make that repair.
Okay, so we're not concerned about being able to open the pool in terms of maintenance repairs.
I will say it's gonna be no different opening it this year than any other year.
I have a question about, this current design that I'm hoping that we can drastically modify to listen to the people. The starting blocks that we have 1, 2, again, super small print here, so I just turned 50, so my eyes are going bad. We have 6 starting blocks, but it looks like the deep well doesn't go all the way to the 5th and 6th starting block. Is that true?
No, it does.
It goes all the way across?
Yes.
Again, look what I'm dealing with. I don't have a good print here, so, but you're saying it goes from wall to wall.
Goes from water's edge to water's edge, 45 feet.
Okay, so, and then the 2 lanes are gonna be on the right side of the pool.
That's at the pool operator's discretion. We have, they're saying that.
We heard tonight from the 5-foot club. What happens to the 5-foot club? Where do the adults go in the pool?
In the 4'6" club.
With all the kids? Ms. Miller said tonight, we can just shoo the kids away from our little space. That's gonna be an absolute disaster. I think this design's a disaster. I think we're gonna be stuck with something we're gonna be really upset with over the next 60 years. I urge council to reconsider. I know we're spending money on the design. I wish we could just hit the pause button here, go back to the drawing board to get a pool that everybody, that 0.005% of the community that spoke tonight, that we're making up to $200,000 of a decision tonight. We're spending $4 million. We heard from 450 people to pause. I wish we could go back and reconsider. Stand in my thoughts.
I have some questions, that weren't answered tonight. I have a question about the diving, stanchions. I'm sorry, I'm not a diver. I do not know how. How easy are they to get in and out? Are they, like, I don't know what it takes to get that set up, and I just wanna make sure, because it's not something that we would have out all of the time, just like we do now, but is it easier or harder than like the ones we currently have?
I don't remember what we currently have, but they're very easy, they just lift in and out, they've got a stainless steel side.
Okay,
There's 4 bolts that hold it currently.
Yeah,
they're bolted.
it's a single pedestal.
So is there like a cap that pulls out and then you put them?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And then, to, kind of piggyback on some things that Ms. House asked, the basketball hoop, for example. So if that is something that we would want to see, is it easy to remove? Is it something that could only be there during certain times, or does it really have to be there all of the time?
That's the same way it lifts in and out of the socket, then you put a cap.
Okay, is that something that can reasonably be done?
Yeah, I mean, that's a little heavier, a little more awkward, but it's not 2 people or 2 cars.
Okay, thank you. All of my questions were answered, were either asked by our community members or asked by our folks here. So that's all I have. Ms. Schwartz?
Okay, just a few questions. The slide you have, showing the slide is a big hot button. Everybody loves the slide article. Currently, we have closed slide. You have, given us a open slide. Is there a reason for that? I know there were some people that had expressed to me concern that the surface would get hot, the water would get warm. Is this a safety thing? Is it more typical, just to get a general idea?
As the process went along, this slide was discussed. I don't remember all the details. But those conversations over the last year plus, or even 2, but an open slide, we don't have trouble with water getting hot because it circulates out of the pool. Okay, so it's a cool water constantly flushed down, and it runs all the time, so that the fiberglass doesn't get hot. It's some pools like the open better because you can see the kids, as opposed to a closed slide, and this gives you a better ride. It's a double turn longer ride. If you wanted to close flume, that's certainly possible. We'd have to go to a different model slide. They don't offer you this sliding.
But probably from a lifeguard standpoint, having a slide that's open is more preferable because they can see what's going on.
Well, it's an added benefit. There's some times where kids will stop inside the tube. It doesn't happen all the time. I can't say it's necessarily a problem. But it's harder to do in this, it's not that one is radically better than the other. This was just a nice slide with a good ride, and it flushes down a lot of water and happens to be an open one.
Okay, the only other, the basketball hoop question was answered through me. The zip line, and I don't know that there's an appetite for that so much, but is that similar in installation as the basketball hoop, or is that a more permanent?
That is a more permanent installation. Circling back to your slide question, typical modern standard is to post a guard at the platform to control the slow down the slide. So they're personally responsible for that patron and their passage down into the water, clearing the area of influence, then releasing the next person.
Real quick, that's not a lifeguard I was told. The top of the slide, it is a concession stand in a port.
No,
That's what I was told by public works.
I'm not sure where that information came from, but it is a lifeguard that is up there.
I mean, I knew it was when I was there, so I was shocked.
Yeah.
No,
No, it is a lifeguard, yes.
I think that is all that I have for you. Thank you.
So now I will turn it over to Ms. Schwartz, to lead any further discussion about the amenities. She, will move on to the motion part of it.
All right, so I think the first thing we need to do
Consensus
is
part.
consensus. I think we've heard people's desires. I think we just need to go through council on each item and whether or not we think it's something that is an amenity that would be appropriate for the pool. So we're gonna.
Just a point of order, what's the difference between consensus and vote?
We're just trying to get an idea of maybe eliminate some things that nobody wants.
Yeah, Miss Miller, you can explain.
If I could say, so what we'll do is we'll go down through each item and get an idea if that item can make it to a motion. So we'll go down, we'll say, David Ray, are you interested in the mushroom? No. Deb, are you interested in the mushroom? No. Jen, are you interested in the mushroom? No. Are you interested in the, no. Okay, we're not even gonna put that, consider that becomes removed from consideration. This is kind of a new process for, this is a unique circumstance. And I think it's just important for, each member of council to say, absolutely no mushroom, absolutely no, floatable. And so just to try to get an idea, and then that way, as I explained in my email, if for those items that we have interest, then we can confirm that we would like to make a motion to include the dive, the slide, a float, right? So is everybody okay with that being the motion? Yes? Okay, let's make the motion. So again, it's a little bit of back and forth, but I think it's, the best way to kind of come to a consensus of how we would like to see the motion proceed.
Well, I think we need to discuss this lounge area because the second item on the list is impacted.
Well, that's what
by-
I was gonna do that after we got through the first one, if that's okay.
Yeah, well, I think you said you wanted to go down each one, so then.
Yeah, we're gonna go through each single
At
one.
each one.
The lounge,
the-
I see what Dave's saying, the lounge affects.
The
We can't
lounge,
vote on
chairs
the
and the
lounges.
shade, right. But it doesn't affect the mushroom. I guess I was just gonna get the mushroom out of the way. Does that make sense?
I would,
However you all want.
Okay,
to
well then
decide to
let's
do it.
discuss the lounge first.
the lounge. So it's.
I know, I
It's
mean,
your meeting,
I
right, if
think
you
it's fine. I think that if we get that dealt with, then we can easily go on to the next. So, moving the lounge area instead of it being a 9-inch water shelf and altering that to be the same depth as the rest of that area adjacent. What is council's feeling?
Would anybody be in favor of that?
Of moving it?
No,
Moving it.
to make it instead of 9 foot or 9
9
inches, it would be the same depth as the area adjacent to it. So we kind of just deal with cutout. And if, that's is certainly another amenity question, if that area were to, if you were to put the sunshade in there, it might be a nice place for people that don't want to be in the sun, but still want to be in the water. That would give them that opportunity in that space without having lounge chairs that people might fight over.
What, this is more of a design question. Our options are more. If we decide not to go with that lounge space, we have many more options with that space, right? I mean, it could be bigger, it could be deeper, it could be like, or what are our design limitations is my question.
I mean, you could eliminate it altogether, you could just make it a small indent, like the size of this table, there's a bench that you sit in. You know what I'm saying? You could, now it goes back, do you remember roughly how many feet it goes back?
If I'm correct, 9 feet.
Like, that's gonna be our 5 foot club.
That could be
Our 5 foot club, could it?
So there won't be 5 feet.
Well, could you make it 5 feet?
Not
From 3 feet to
Not-
5
not
feet.
where it's
That's
located.
You can't have a
And the problem with that, there are pools, there's one now, I'll give you a short story for this, we're working for a community out near, Philadelphia where they're replacing a pool. And they have a problem now, they have multiple drowning saves literally a day where the depth increases too much in a short distance, for instance, not expected. So when you go in the water to, there where you're expecting it to be shallow, and then it suddenly drops to the 5 feet, that's a drowning risk. Same as, that's why I gave the answer when you went from the 3 feet at the slide to, instead of going to 4, 6 to 5, it's too short of a distance from 3 to 5. That's similar to drowning risk they were experiencing. And that's what you have to watch, because a kid or a shorter person, they're not expecting to be suddenly in deeper water than they can handle. And that's the problem with that, the multi-use pool. So even though I sympathize with the 5 foot club, can't do it right there.
And, Ms. Schwartz, and I am aware, I was the former chair, but I want to make sure that we all understand none of the options that we discussed, that came to us, meaning what, I don't know what might have been discussed before I came on council, none of them went to 5 feet.
That's correct. When I looked at them. Yeah, so, but again, Dave, to your point, that area can be used. Water aerobics is what I'm thinking of, that they're looking for that not so deep area that would give them that ledge area they talked about that they use for some things. Is that correct?
No, it would have to be further back.
Okay.
Yeah, this is what if I may, throw my 2 cents in, what I think, since the lounge, people laying there on these lounge chairs that might become an issue of possession. If you did not have the 9 inches with lounge chairs, or even if you didn't have lounge chairs, will people use it? To the extent they would use it if it was the same depth as all the rest of it, but it would give people the opportunity to be in the shade. So they're in the pool, like they're in the pool, like the steps area. And they're close to all of that, close to maybe people that are in the sun, but yet they don't want to be, but still want to be in that general area. That would truly be the only area in the pool that is shaded. That width by the 9 foot depth would be the only area you could be in the shore, in the pool and be shaded.
Do we know if people want shaded areas in the pool?
Shaded area.
I love a shaded area.
Yes,
I'm worried, we know if the residents, the pool users. Do we have any data on that?
So we do have someone who stood up tonight. We also have people who have spoken to multiple people here saying that that is a feature that they are interested in. Again, I did not look at the minutes of
Well, I guess the
June meeting
question
list.
is-
So what if we did a survey over the next 2 weeks? And ask the people.
I mean, here's the bottom line. Now,
What,
as far as
we
that
want to do
area,
a survey that asks the people who use the pool what they want.
how are you going to send out this survey? How are you going to collect responses? How are you going, I'm asking a genuine question. How would you get that done in the next 2 weeks?
I create a survey within the next,
How, right?
next day, put it on Survey Monkey, we have
And
emails,
how does that impact people who are not digitally engaged?
we have. Yeah, send a postcard.
How is that?
Well, it's not great, you need a plan to get feedback.
We have a committee that is dedicated to communications.
Responsive design, let's get this communication committee. And let's get it figured out.
I understand, but that was not specifically to, let's get this pool, like, about the pool. This is moving forward for all communications.
It's been around for 60 years.
Listen to anybody that's was right, you have no idea what you guys are doing.
So here's what I'm going to suggest. We are here tonight to talk about the amenities. That is what was advertised. That is what we're here to talk about. That is what we need to discuss here this evening. Beyond that, that is not the scope of tonight's meeting. And I do hear that people want more input. Mr. Ray just suggested to survey the pool users.
Everyone.
That is, so that is a much bigger undertaking.
Great, let's do it.
And we would have to figure that out in a way that we are not prepared to do tonight. However, what we are prepared to do tonight is to talk about the pool amenities. That is what we are here to do tonight. That is what we will continue to do. We will not be able to entertain anything beyond that scope tonight. We do not have the ability to discuss anything else.
We absolutely do, because it was brought up at the podium. And our solicitor, a couple of meetings ago, said if it's brought up at the podium and it's de minimis, we can talk about it, we can vote on it.
A mailing survey is not de minimis. We have to pay postage, we have to pay printing, it's not de
We don't have
minimis.
to vote on postage. It's de minimis, we don't have to vote on postage.
If I just may say, and I certainly understand everybody's intent, that to make all of the people happy, all the time. I believe the problem at this point is it almost sounds like we're talking about going back to square one.
Yep.
That would cost us,
$70,000.
I would say in the neighborhood of over $200,000.
Right, it's a pool's costing $4 million.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a decision that's gonna stick with us for the next 60 or 70 years.
And then we will re-spend that same money.
Right, we have
So-
grants to pay for it, right?
So we will, I just, to be clear, we would be lighting a match to the $200,000+ that we have paid design fees.
Are we paying for it? Is it for taxes or is that?
All the residents of Green Tree are paid.
Yes, so that's just a point of clarification. We are very deep. We are over 6 months into design, as Brent said at the very beginning of the meeting. We are in the final stage.
We're the final stage of design.
The last 6
It's not
weeks
broken down.
of specifications, that once completed would be advertised and then we would be on our way. Again, we are well over $200,000 into design expenses, at this point, which would be lost. Well, I said
Just say $30,000 one shade.
So let's continue to discuss the amenities and go down each one.
All right, so we're gonna start with the 7'6" diameter mushroom spray fountain. And we're gonna start in the order of the diet. So Mr. Ray, are you interested?
No.
Thank you. Ms. Debbie,
No.
Ms. House,
No.
Ms. Barrett,
No.
Mr. Centuri is absent, Ms. Schwartz is no, Mr. Panza.
No.
All right, the in-water lounge chases, Mr. Ray.
No.
Ms. Demi,
No.
Ms. House.
No.
Ms. Barron,
No.
Mr. Centuri is absent, Ms. Schwartz is no, Mr. Panza.
No.
All right, lounge shade structure,
No.
Mr. Ray.
Yes.
Ms. House.
Yes.
Ms. Barron.
Yes.
This, I am a yes. Mr. Panza.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, was
large,
that last one on the shade?
that's
the structure.
the structure straight,
Say,
possibly. I mean, it's dependent, we're not there yet. Large
So,
open flume slide.
I'm
This is
against,
just, we're
I'm
just
against everything, because I'm against the pool, I'm against everything that's going in the pool, so you can just give me, no.
including the slide. and the
Including
diving
the
board.
I'm against the pool design, so thereby I'm against everything on this.
Well, then I will start with Ms. Demi.
Yes.
The slide. House?
Yes.
Barrett?
Yes.
Me, yes. Panza?
Yes, for the slide. Yes.
Shark floatable. Demi?
No.
House?
No.
Barrett?
No.
Schwartz is no. Panza?
No.
All right. Manta ray floatable.
No.
Demi? House?
No.
Barrett?
I just really love manta rays. No, I'm a no on that.
I'm a no. Panza?
No.
Competition starting blocks. Ms.
Yes.
Demi?
Yes.
Ms. House?
Yes.
Ms. Barrett?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz is yes. Mr. Panza?
Yes.
Competition lane lines. Demi?
Yes.
House?
Yes.
Barrett?
Yes.
Schwartz is yes. Panza?
Yes.
All right. Dive stand and board. Ms. Demi?
Yes.
Ms. House?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett? Or Ms. Barrett, sorry.
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz, yes. Panza?
I would say no.
The diving board?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay. The zip line. Ms. Demi?
Yes.
Ms. House?
Yes.
Ms. Barrett?
No.
I am no. Ron, zip line?
No, for the zip.
All right. Basketball hoop. Ms. Demi?
Yes.
Ms. House?
Yes.
Ms. Barrett?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz? Yes. Mr. Panza?
No.
All right. Deck umbrellas. Ms. Demi? Those are umbrellas that would sit on the deck of the area where the chairs are.
Like on the grass or the concrete?
They're on the concrete.
Yeah, it was under. Yes. I'd like to leave it open for a vote. That's okay right now.
Yeah. Ms. House?
Yes.
Ms. Barrett?
I feel like I don't quite understand it, so I'm gonna vote yes, because I would like to continue discussion.
All right, I will vote yes for discussion. Mr. Panza?
No.
All right, the tall spray feature, Demi? That's the tall spray in the front. Or the water odyssey.
No.
Ms. House?
No.
Ms. Barron?
No.
Ms. Schwartz is no. Mr. Panza?
No.
Tall spray feature, water odyssey, that's the second one.
No. No.
House? Shannon?
No.
I'm a no. Ron?
No.
Weeping water tall spray. Debbie?
Yes.
House?
No.
Barron?
No.
Schwartz is no. Mr.
No.
Panza? All right, yard umbrellas. Ms. Debbie?
Yes.
Ms. House?
Yes.
Ms. Barron?
Trying to make sure I understand which one that is. Is this the one that?
The yard ones are in the grass.
Oh, I'm a no.
Okay. I am yes, Mr. Panza.
I would be a no.
Okay. Moving to the wading pool. Mr. Ray, are you going to vote on any of the wading pool features?
I am totally against the entire pool design, so I vote no, like
Okay.
every amenity that's listed.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Demi, the 5-foot diameter mushroom.
No.
Ms. House?
No.
Ms. Barrett?
No.
Mr. Detroit, I hear Ms. Schwartz is no. Mr. Panza?
I would say no.
In water lounge chases, Ms. Demi?
No.
Ms. House?
No.
Ms. Barrett?
No.
I am no. Mr. Panza?
No.
Lounge shade structure, Ms. Demi? That's the shade over the steps.
Yes.
Ms. House?
Yes.
Ms. Barrett?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mr. Panza?
Yes.
Open flume toddler slide, Ms. Demi?
Yes.
Ms. House?
Yes.
Ms. Barrett?
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. Panza?
Yes.
Deck spray, Ms. Demi?
That's one.
That little,
The
that's
little
that
on
little
the side
tiny.
here.
Yes.
Ms. House?
Yes.
Ms. Barrett?
Yes.
And a yes, Mr. Panza?
Yes.
Toddler in water climber, that's the starfish that squirts water. Ms. Denton?
No.
Ms. House?
No.
Ms. Barrett?
No.
I am a no, Mr. Panza?
No.
Okay. Go. Yard umbrella, were 3 yeses, 3 nos.
Okay, so, and if I may say something like that, for yard umbrellas, we can add them anytime.
I think
I
that's.
don't think it needs to be part of this. Based, you know, the going out.
So the amenities that, are, have more than 3 votes currently are the lounge shade structure, the slide, the competition starting blocks, the competition lane lines, the diving board, the basketball hoop, the deck umbrellas, and that is what? And that, and no, on the yard umbrellas. And then on the wading pool, it would be the lounge shade structure, the flume toddler slide, and the deck spray. Those are the items that are up for consideration at this point.
Now.
All right, well, do we have all this stuff and then we can have discussion. So make a motion that we approve the following items to be included in the final design. Bid specifications. I move that we approve the following items to be included in the bid specifications for the main pool and baby pool. And they would be the lounge shade structure, the large open flume slide, the competition starting blocks, competition lane lines, the dive stand and board, the basketball hoop, the deck umbrellas, the lounge shade structure for the wading pool, the open flume toddler slide, and the deck spray. Do I have this?
Second.
Can we open this for discussion?
Well, I mean, that would be contingent on switching the, 3-foot.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Well,
no, I mean, no, if you're gonna leave a 9-inch section of water, then I would say just eliminate it if it's not gonna be 3 foot. I mean, without any launch chairs, 9 inches of water is
I would agree with you.
totally waste.
I'm not married to the lounge shade structure, I'll be honest. I feel like there's something we could put in that might be less permanent. If it's an appetite for that, honestly, I think that that's something to discuss.
I voted yes, just so that we could have the discussion about it. I think having shade is a really nice option. That people might want if they're going to be in the pool with their kids nearby, but can't or don't want as much direct sunlight. I think having it as an option is a great way to go that would allow more people that space.
And again, it could be bid as an alternate, and when the bids come in, council can decide whether or not they want to approve that portion.
I'd like to do a straw poll. Who's in favor of the lounge shade structure?
$30,000
Who's in favor of, raise your hand. I just, my own personal view.
shade.
The shade structure. Okay.
Can I make a comment on that? Last year, when we started talking about the design and everything, and we were talking about a bigger pool, there was a lot of discussion about, we don't want to give up the grass area and the shade area of our pool. So now we're talking about adding shade back to the pool. You
No,
have
when I-
trees over there for shade. Everybody uses the tree shade over there.
Right.
One shade in the pool, you put a temporary umbrella up in 2 places where maybe someone could sit under it.
I think that's reasonable. So do we want to reconsider removing the lounge shade structure from this?
I am not opposed to that.
as long as we can explore options for people to be in a shaded area in the pool. Yeah, at some point, like whether it's a temporary
portable
structure,
or-
yeah,
Okay,
I
that's
think
fine.
that is, it is important.
Okay, so you wanna amend the motion?
Okay, so amend the motion to remove the lounge shade structures.
Second.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Yes.
Sure.
Sorry if it's out of order. With the, so in the main pool, we're talking, you're removing the chairs, the in-water chairs, and the shade structure above. But you're still thinking about what to do with the area below, correct? That
Depth.
is that.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I agree that the 9 inch water has no
Purpose.
purpose.
And you said that the, just making for all the same depth would not be a significant, impact or change.
Correct.
Do they have temporary umbrellas where you can like, I've seen them where you can wind them out and, you know, make some shade sometimes, but wind them back in and.
Yeah,
Not
you
permanent.
can use those kind of umbrellas where you choose.
They're just not something that we have to bid out.
I'm saying they used to have those type of umbrellas. So,
You can add that in later.
yeah.
Basically
we can
take a
purchase.
deck umbrella and
Absolutely.
place it there and stand.
Can I ask a question, design question, which might get me back on board with this design? That lounge area, what's the depth? So it's 30,
By memory, we're thinking like maybe 9 feet back.
Back, and then what's the length?
Boy, you're really taxing my.
so let's say it's 10 feet. What if we extend that out 30 feet?
At 2 foot to 3 foot depth?
Yep. Be a great spot for little kids to play and throw balls and stay away from the parents. Or the, you know,
We roped it off at the one end.
I'm just saying, extend that out. We have 3 umbrellas. If you take it, just take it back. And you have a intermediate pool, go back towards the fence. You could even grade that down and create a little bit of depth towards the end.
It's not that that's not possible, but that's a pretty serious impactful change. And then you have to watch, you're gonna kind of create something that if you're keeping your slide there, you have to go out around that and over your slide.
But we
Take it up to the slide deck, to the deck that's, on the slide.
And yeah, I mean, it's a pretty impactful change as far as even the filtration rates and everything, we'd have to reevaluate all that. That can be done, but it's a pretty impactful change.
But we could, keeping it that same length as that area of the pool right before it is not as impactful.
So keeping it the
So,
size it is now.
If it was the same width,
Same size,
same square footage,
Same
but
footprint.
just different depth,
yeah,
that's
That's
not
That's
impactful.
not nearly as.
okay.
Anything at this point, and I'm not trying to overdo it, I don't mean it that way, I won't do it. Anything that you change at this point because you're past that stage of documents has an impact, it's just how severe it is. What you're talking about of deepening that is not on the severe
Is
end of
there,
the scale.
is there a,
Going way back, is more on the severe.
is there a amount of feet we could extend, I guess, to his point, that would be keep us within that least impactful area to gain us some more square footage, I guess is the question.
I mean, what's often done in a case like this where you don't want that is that you just make it a slighter bump out. Bring the back wall back in instead of 9 feet back in, bring it like in 3 feet back in. Or 3 feet out instead of 9 feet, and then you can sit along the top and you can form a bench, say this wide down low, and you can sit on the top of the deck and hang your feet on this where you can sit in the bench.
Well, we're
You kind
trying
of
to
make
make
it a
it
little-
more area.
So-
Okay, I think that was my question.
Sorry.
Please. We heard from the community that they want a bigger pool, or at least the same size that we had previously, that we currently have. Can we utilize that space? And if it's drastic change, great. We're gonna have it for 60 years. Let's make a drastic change, satisfy many of the needs that the community has. And if it's something that we need to think about, let's think about it. Like now is the time to think about it. We need to just redo that area, great.
If we don't have the zip line, David,
Right.
and we move the ADA ramp wall.
Oh, no, this.
So now we're getting, I'm sorry, I have just,
Right, I want to talk about my idea here for,
Okay.
please.
I know what you're saying, and I'm, from a design standpoint, okay, I'm not in any way against what you're trying to accomplish. The question becomes, is it an efficient way to accomplish it? I think by making that a long thing, I know you're gaining that space, but is it a well usable space? It's kind of a thing that we're maybe bastardizing the design to reach a good end, but not doing it well. I don't know that that's a
Take
good
it out
end.
to the stairs if you have to. Take it out to the stairs and then move it out.
Make the whole box and.
So,
There's
the only,
some-
Dave, if I may say, if I can just,
He's
all I'm,
in thought though, please.
okay,
Let him
go
finish.
ahead. Finish.
All of those things are, yes, possible, but they're just very impactful at this stage. We're not against doing them, they're just very impactful.
Not a decision we can make today.
yeah, we would have to bring that.
Now, I'm gonna get everybody really riled up when I add this one. When don't forget, way back in the process, there was, when you're talking about adding on an area like that, okay, there were thoughts of, were you going to have more than one pool? Okay, because when you try to do everything in one pool, it gets hard to do. If you really wanna add like a 30-foot by 10-foot thing, maybe you're better off, and I'm not saying to do this, I'm just saying how you go about this thing. A better design would be to build a little smaller one over next to it, okay? They're all very impactful.
There we go.
But you have to watch, you don't wanna, it's like a house where you put weird additions on, okay? It doesn't flow right anymore, it doesn't function right, doesn't manage right. I'm not going against what you're after, it's just how you go about it, that you don't make a weird design in the end. It's a good thing, but you don't wanna look and functioning.
So being that that is a larger decision that can't be made tonight, what we
But
can't.
you're also getting back to what Judy said, where you're really starting your process kind of.
Correct.
Really backing up in your process.
We would really need to have
I don't
some.
mind doing that, but that has big impacts to you.
We could still discuss the other amenities
Correct.
right now, i.e. the diving board, the
We can't
slides,
discuss-
because those will not be impacted by that
Either way.
area regardless. So, with that being said, what is left in the decision process is the water slide, the starting platforms, the lane lines, the dive board, the basketball hoop, and the deck umbrellas for the main pool, the, shade umbrella, the sunfish slide, the water jet fountain for the lane. Any more discussion about those items?
I would just say that I'm not married one way or the other to the basketball hoop. So I don't.
I mean, I think that of all of the items on here, it is the least expensive, and it is removable. Which would give us the option to maybe have it certain times, maybe on the weekends, maybe it's not there during the week, or maybe it's there during the week, but not on the weekends where it's the busiest. It would be a fun thing to put up at times, maybe not all the time. That's my feeling about it. Whereas some of the other things were much more permanent
Yeah,
and,
I like the idea of the basketball hoop because it is removable. And because it does put an amenity in there that could be, excuse me, of interest to folks who want to play in the pool. It could open up some other possibilities of like how to interact with the pool, how to have, I'm interested into what it could bring to us. And I do like that it is removable, so.
I think that's my main
Yeah.
concern was, could we remove it?
I like that
don't
it's
think we want
removable.
it there all the time. I think it's
Yeah.
something that we could throw in.
I think the basketball hoop would just cause chaos, and I think if you get hit by a Nerf, football, that's one thing. Get hit in the head with a whole basketball. It just
Well,
encourages.
yeah, you couldn't
it-
take a-
It just
Yeah.
encourages balls in the swimming pool. And in all honesty, I believe most people really don't want kids throwing balls around. the swimming pool.
As we heard
I
tonight.
mean, I definitely.
They're not allowed in the pool right now, currently, correct?
No, they allow them to throw balls.
They do allow them to throw balls in the pool.
Oh, they do now?
Yeah,
Yes.
that
They
came about,
too, but that came out after 20.
that just came about in 2020, and yes, that,
So you weren't allowed to have any of that.
correct, that's how I always grew up too,
Yeah.
no toys in the pool,
You wouldn't have inner tube?
yeah,
It
now,
was, it was after we reopened,
in 2020, they allowed it.
So, yeah, I myself would say definitely not the basketball.
Is that what you voted for?
It's $1,500.
You said no from the beginning, okay, I just wanna make sure, I wasn't sure if we had changed mine.
Oh, no.
I'm not keeping
I
the
think
count.
my point was, it's an inexpensive thing, we can
Yeah.
throw it up when someone has a pool party.
Exactly, right, like a pool party would be great.
A partial thing,
Mhm.
but we could have it as an alternate on the bid, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a gift.
Yeah.
That was my thought.
I agree with that. I think it could add some fun things when appropriate. It does not have to be a feature that is available all of the time.
Is that something that council would decide or the full staff would
Pool
decide?
manager and the pool staff would, work with all that. When a new pool is put in place, right? Your pool manager will then take a look at what our, current, rules and guidelines are of using the pool. And then we'll reset those for whatever current pool that we have, and then you learn along the way, right? Like, none of that is, but that's not something we as council decide.
Okay, but in all honesty, listen, but we keep saying, well, we can't talk about this because we're on this timeline. Well, because we're on this timeline, tonight's the night, we need to decide everything to get this done, if we're gonna,
We cannot decide this tonight,
why?
Because it wasn't part of our agenda.
Well, part of the agenda, and it's.
we have to.
it's cost-
It costs
It costs money.
significant, it could cost us significant, so that
So
is why.
that's something that, but we can decide the other things,
No, I-
we just can't decide that.
So what I could do is I could ask the architect to put together a cost proposal for what it would cost to change that. And then I could forward that on to council for consideration.
Well, let's at least reach a consensus of what we would like to ask the architect for. Okay, maybe 30 feet, David?
I'd like to get to the
That's a
square
little-
footage that we have now.
Well.
With the
that-
bathing ledge being, this is the
That's-
bathing ledge in the square footage now, that's my question.
I would like to get to whatever depth the main area of that pool is, with the 3 feet. Outside of the lounge area. Whatever it is.
It's sloping from the stairs down to where it is.
The floor of that area would basically follow that pitch.
So whatever that is, plus whatever it takes to get us to where we are now.
Well, if that's not a launch area, why not make that the slide pit?
There you go.
Not deep enough
No,
It's not
make it
deep
deep,
enough,
make
yeah.
that the slide pit.
because of the slope.
No, you just make the whole thing square at that depth. Make that the slide pit, then that frees up the whole center of the swimming pool.
Yep.
And that solves all the
That's
problems.
a good idea. Yep.
Yeah.
I
That
think
solves all the
it's worth
problems.
having all of those ideas. They're all noted.
Yeah.
Then at this point, for that decision, it really would need to, go back for some additional discussion. And we would have to have the information that it's really, that will come to, Ms. Miller will put in the will put in the ask for the architects. That then comes back to, Ms. Schwartz's committee. And then we would have to, and discuss that at a current scheduled council meeting, yeah.
What could happen is it could go to public property, property would then make a recommendation that would go on the agenda for council to consider.
And to just,
That's, and complete transparency, like we're doing by, public safety committee, that correspondence goes on all accounts.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now, since you're, if I may add in, since you're gonna discuss that with the slide, okay, I'd make another suggestion is that instead of adding that piece out for the slide you're running, there you go to a slide that sits back further and has its own run out. Have you ever been to places where the slide comes out with its own bathtub? That way you're not spending a ton
Yeah.
of
So
money.
are you turning the slide?
With its own
90 degrees, so it's gonna go into that pit area.
No, with its own run out.
Yeah, but it's a very expensive way to do it. You're building a big,
Yeah, so-
expensive addition on your pool for that. Whereas you move the slide back away from the pool and have its own bathtub rather than build a piece into the pool. If you were gonna go that route, I would go with that rather than build it.
And that would free up a tremendous amount of space.
Yep.
Yeah.
And accomplish what we wanna accomplish.
Yep.
So, I mean, let's accomplish what we wanna accomplish that'll be the end of it. I mean,
So is it good then? We will have Brent put that together for us as quickly as possible, and then that'll go to public property then with a recommendation with the goal of having it before council on the third.
Well, I just asked if we get that correspondence. Good.
Oh,
All the
Oh,
companies.
right, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
But we are not able to discuss that and deliberate it in any,
Yeah.
right, I'm making that clear for everyone.
But at least then all council will know what.
Yeah, you'll have information.
You'll just have to clarify a list at the end of all this, so I don't get this.
Yeah.
it's
Judy
basically
will take care of
two options. Option one would be to make the lounge area 3 foot deep, equal to the swimming pool. How much that would be, and then put the slide in its own bathtub.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Or,
Mr. Ray.
since we're on it. I like the idea of having the room go into its own runout, maybe, I don't know how you work that into the design without interfering with entering the pool, maybe it goes out towards the fence. And also making that area bigger. The, existing lounge area that we have, just making that bigger, so that we're increasing square footage. Using square footage to get us closer to where we are.
Anything you want me to investigate, make a list, and I'll tell you the impacts and the costs associated.
That's what we need to see, the impacts and the costs associated, yeah.
That's fine.
But Dave, I hear what you're saying. That's what.
Yeah.
And can I see that list before it goes out?
I think it'll go out
I
to
will-
all of us.
I will absolutely to make sure we don't get.
We don't miss anything, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Just to not further complicate. If we do that, right, if we decide that that makes the most sense, does that change anybody's feelings or ideas on adding a tiny
No.
water feature?
It doesn't, it
No,
does
no,
not.
no.
It does not.
Absolutely not.
It does, it does not.
It
Because,
does.
yeah, because it creates more space. It might change my vision on that.
I mean, we
Without
can,
seeing it,
can we add, I mean, if we give them the basics, the things that we've already talked about.
So how about this? We'll get the list together, what Brent's gonna give us, proposal on. And then I think I can reissue the list of things that we did not include on, as of so far. And then you know, maybe council could give me some feedback individually as to what you think. Hey, if we're gonna have this space, I would like to see the mushroom. Or I would like to see the.
Yeah, Ms. Miller, you and I can work on figuring out how we would solicit that so that we do not
Yes.
have any deliberation.
So we can at least agree on the things that we know, like the diving board, the
Right.
slide, those things now. And then we can add on, depending on what configuration we come to,
Yeah.
these additional items.
So
Does that
we're
make
gonna vote
sense?
on this right now.
We're gonna vote on the few things that we've talked about,
That's,
and not the others.
Well,
They can be revisited, those others can be brought back.
I would suggest that we table it for now until we know. What the.
Because they could at least get started on some of these things. That was at least the waiting pool. We could
It
put
might,
that aside.
it might all change.
The waiting pool's not gonna change. Would you change the waiting pool at this point?
No.
So we could at least vote on that.
So we can come to consensus.
I think we can come to consensus on the pool, on the waiting pool,
okay, so
and the swim team and dive board, I think we could at least get done. Just to get them done.
I don't know that that's gonna change anymore. It's gonna
Yeah.
extend the timeout, I think.
It will.
The last part, what's not gonna change?
So even if we would tell you, okay, Brent, the list that we kind of came to a consensus that we would like to make the motion on. Even if I gave you all that tonight, it's still going to delay. We're no longer at that 6 to 8 week time anymore because you're gonna have to come.
Yeah, I mean, it clears.
Will it help?
Those issues, but it doesn't, no, because until you decide on the rest, you don't really move forward.
So maybe the baby pool we could vote on tonight. And then that way you could get that segment of it done, and then we'll come back to me. How's that?
Let's not keep in mind with the baby pool, in case you don't already know this, in the baby pool, when you're removing the chairs, the loungers, and if you remove the shade above it, okay? There's also a little ledge in there where the water's shallow for those chairs to sit on. So I'm assuming you just make that all normal depth in there.
Yeah.
But if we did remove the shade.
No, we have the shade, we didn't have the lounge.
Yeah, no, watch.
We wanted the shade,
Yeah.
but
Well,
that would
if you're
still be there.
keeping the shade and remove the chairs, then remove that ledge.
Nothing wrong with shade.
No ledge. Okay, so are we all on board with this? So there would be no ledge for lounges in the baby pool, but we would still keep a shade structure on that end for.
If you read the ones that you're gonna include in
The baby pool?
You have to revise the motion.
Yeah, we're gonna have to redo it, but I'll read those off to you so you know. The votes were for the lounge shade structure, the open flume toddler slide, which is a fish slide, and the deck spread. Those were the three things that were voted on for the waiting pool.
So why don't you remove?
I'm gonna revise the motion. I'm going to make a motion that we approve the following amenities to be included in bid specifications of the baby pool, being the lounge shade structure, the open flume toddler slide, and the deck spray. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion?
Deck spray this water jet.
Yes, it's just, yeah. They'll put their little toys in
Their
it.
little phones and stuff.
Ms. Schwartz,
So, Kim, can we please have a roll call vote?
I think
just for clarification from the design entity standpoint. Brent and I are unclear whether we're removing that shelf and putting it at the same depth as the rest of the pool.
Yeah.
In the waiting pool?
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
that's what I'm suggesting.
Yes.
and,
And then there'll
I'm-
still be the beach entry on the other side.
right. The umbrella would now be in about 9 inches more water. So. I guess having the background of dealing with these features,
Mhm.
we may have to pick a different amenity than what we have in there
A
now.
different umbrella than that is
In
there.
order to accommodate extra
So you can
staff,
say a
like,
shade structure.
you can just say the
Say a
shade
shade
structure.
structure, yes.
So since we just allowed them to change the depth of the waiting pool, the baby pool, why can't we just instruct them to change?
Right, it's
It's different.
It's
Okay,
much,
I just wanna
yeah.
be on time.
The baby pool is all one length and
Yes.
up except for the beaches.
Okay, I just wanna be on time.
All right, so we have second.
I'm gonna ask him for a roll call vote.
All right.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Houts,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Barron.
Yes. Okay. That is our meeting for tonight.
I have one,
Yeah.
related, October 7th, I made a motion to add to the agenda, motion for the borough to conduct community-wide survey asking for input on the current design as well as additional amenities that are going into the pool. That was not given a second. So this is going back 3 months where we could have received community feedback. But tonight, I'd like to make a similar motion, a subsidiary motion, to conduct community-wide survey, asking for input on the current design, as well as additional amenities that are going into the pool.
I don't know how we could do that until we know what the final design is. Yeah, so, I mean, I can't second that at this time. And now, once we get the final design,
Why couldn't you second it the first time?
because
had
we
design.
never got the final
Sure we
design.
did.
I would
We got the
say,
final design in July. I asked in October if there was more input after we heard from the community that they wanted to pause the design. Now we're going back to the drawing.
So we have a motion. Is there a second? The motion rests. Thank you. So we are at the end of our meeting tonight. We will meet again on February 3rd. Thank you, everyone.